6 o'clock.
Okay. It's 6 o'clock. We're going to begin the Historic Resources Board meeting, and we'll begin by pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today is March 1st, 2016, and as I said, we'll begin with the Historic Resources Board. Roll call.
Ernest Franco.
Here.
David Medeiros.
Here.
Eric Granisoff.
Here.
Nancy Bear.
Here.
All present. Thank you.
All right. First item is public comment. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, nothing for the HRB.
Okay. Then we'll move on to informal project review.
Yeah. Wait.
Okay.
Okay. I found it.
Is this the planning commission item or is this historical item?
This is historical.
Yeah, this for historical. I took this off from the approval or denial section for the public hearing for the HRB.
And put it in. Okay.
And put it as an informal review because there were some situations with the sign as far as getting the accurate square footage down and stuff. But you guys do have the copy of the sign in your guys' packets.
It's in our historic
and we were wondering, as far as informal project reviews go, if this was something that would be acceptable in the historic downtown area.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this is Rene. He's standing, or he's here in the place of Macedino Palomino, who is going to be the business owner of International Visions of the World.
Hi. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about the business, or?
He sells jewelry and clothing.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Jewelry and clothing.
Any questions for the applicant?
Not yet.
You should be talking about the size and what they're proposing, not what they're going to offer.
Yeah.
So,
well,
You're proposing to do a sign and you to articulate the size of the sign and what it's going to be.
Right.
And why it should be approved where it does not conform to the sign ordinance.
so I mean, I could, since I know that he just called Rene today to stand in his place. He wanted to come to the meeting, but he wasn't able to because of his job. But when Mr. Palomino brought these signs to my attention, I pointed out the sign design guidelines as well as the ordinance behind it. He wanted to propose a sign up top over the awning, which was 10 foot by 2 feet, which exceeds the maximum square footage. And then he wanted to have a hanging sign underneath the awning, which is 24 inches by 18 inches. Now, there might be a situation with that awning sign because there has to be a minimum of a 7 foot 6 inch clearance from the ground. So I don't know if he has measured that as of yet, but I told him to get something with a close diameter to this. That way he could get some type of measurements and see what was done there. But, you know, my reason for pulling it off from the public hearing was that I thought that this might not be approved due to its color content and the sizing of it.
I think that when an applicant submits a project like this, and since we have the guidelines in place, I think that you could guide the applicant at that time rather than bringing it.
Right, and I did multiple times, and this is still the product that was brought forth. So. All
right. Do you want to make some comments on both the placement?
I sent Rudy out to check the width of the building because your sign ordinance says it's a quarter square foot per building front footage. And Rudy measured the front footage. And what did you come up with allowable?
It was 22.2 feet of the front footage linear, which comes down to 6 feet or 6 square feet for the sign on top of the awning maximum. So that would have to reduce the size from 6 by 2 to a 6 by 1 or a 3 by 2. A 6 by 1 might be more suitable for him since the name of the business is a little bit longer than others.
Do you know if the business owner or who he might have craft the project Who would
I'm
be?
gonna end up doing it.
Okay. And what's your background in the arts?
I'm a handyman.
Okay.
So I do pretty much everything.
Okay. Have you seen the design guidelines?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I would suggest, well, I probably shouldn't be speaking yet. We should invite the public to speak. But I think you should see it.
Okay.
Because then you'll see the kinds of images that we're really looking for. We're hoping to maintain the historic ambiance of the downtown district. And honestly, this is it for the viewing audience right now. I don't think for your benefit, the colors, the pale, it's too bubblegum-ish. It's just, I don't think it's appropriate. But I'd like to invite the public to make comments if they, do we do that during informal project review?
Sure, they have the right to
Comment.
talk.
Anybody have any comments?
So I guess community.
Okay, there's a proposal to put a sign up here and a sign under the awning. And I'm going to go ahead and just state my opinion.
Well, you want everybody, and then the chairman speaks
I
first.
know, this chairman speaks last. Okay, I'll speak last.
Do you have any comments?
Oh, heck, I'm co-chair.
Yeah, the only concern I have is the size of it and the color, just like everybody else. Yeah, I think that if we would exercise towards more of a historical appearance to the sign, and I wouldn't have any problems with it if you did. But I think the colors themselves. My question would be, why does it have to be that color? Probably because that's what you probably thought it should be. But anyway, being as a historical area, I would tone down the colors a little bit, make it look kind of an older sign. Usually what makes everybody happy around here when we see signs that look antique-ish.
Right.
So if you could do that, that'd be great. I think the size is a problem. But if you work with the city, I'm sure they'll come up with an adequate sign and then make sure it's safe. Other than that, I don't have any problems with it.
Okay.
I think the other thing that I was more concerned with is with the hanging sign over the awning with a 2x3 and it hung down, that it has to meet that 7'6", the height.
So you're talking about under the awning?
Yeah, under the awning,
yeah.
yeah. And then the other thing is that we'll require a liability insurance policy and a hold harmless for that to be put up.
Okay.
I personally cannot support the awning sign in any way, shape, or form. More so with the colors, but that's only because of the colors. But I don't like awning signs. I'd rather see a nice sign hanging, at the 7.5-foot level. But I can't support the awning sign.
Well, aside from opinion, our sign guidelines indicate that we want to have a pedestrian appeal, and a sign up here is appealing to the driver, which we're not promoting. So that's why I think we would discourage this. And my feeling too is, aesthetically, I wouldn't want a white background. I'd rather have a antiqued looking, as David said, background. And I thought with the multicolors you were going for the colors of the world, which is a concept I can embrace, but you want a sign that works for you and for us. So.
I also I can't support the color pattern on the hanging sign either. Just where you come from.
The colors, I don't think, on a white background, first of all, I think the colors are going to get lost in it too. I think for the historic district, it's going to be a little much. Certainly something more vintage looking for our historic downtown.
So you want to look
And
at the
the size
font, the
requirement.
type of font you
Yep.
use as well. So if you walk downtown, see what there is, and look at the design guidelines, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, as far as the awning sign goes, I would kind of encourage it because that would help us reduce the A-frame signs that we have out in the sidewalk, stuff like that. So if you put it up high enough and if it's a safe place, I think that would help prevent all the A-frames that seem to be hanging on the sidewalks. So that would help that and encourage that. So that's another way, But I would say just work with the city, and the city will be happy to make sure you're doing all the right things, including colors and textures and what have you.
Right.
Okay. I hope you have enough to go by. Oh, Mariana, did you want to make a comment?
Would you come to the front, please? This is being recorded.
So your name and address, please.
My name's Mariana Thomas. I live at 45 Monterey Street, and I lived here now for 11 years. I would like to emphasize to anybody that is new, that wants to have any kind of establishment in this historic town, that you need to go back to the turn of the century and look at the colors being soft, the whole look of the street being soft. Even though we have Target nowadays, we are choosing to live in a historic town that is emphasizes preservation. So, you know, I have had an antique store. I work at an auction house that I deal with these colors every day. And so it's important for you, as being new in the community, to realize that's the community we're joining. And so while everybody wants to approve what you might see and what is out there in the world as being attention-getting, that's not the community we live in. So I just want to encourage the softness, still visually appealing, that, you know, I just want to emphasize that because that's really where we have chosen to be.
Thank you.
You understand this is not a...
No, for sure, yes.
No. This is not a denial of your project. Basically, you had an idea, and you got free public input from your neighbors as well as the commissioners, so that'll give you some direction. So when you do come up there, it'll probably go through in a flash. But this is just direction. I mean, it was not prejudicial. It's just, like I said, if somebody came with a 5-story building with, you know, classic pink, hey, not in San Juan. But this way he goes back and tells his architect, change the color, drop the profile. So this is meant to help.
Right, for sure.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay. Next item, we have action items now. Affidavit of posting agenda.
No, the second one was an informal. There's a second informal.
Oh, that was
So
for,
number 3?
that's for this meeting now.
The informal presentation.
Okay, I put that in the wrong.
Yeah, right.
All right, we have item B, amendment of tentative map of D'Ambrosio Public. What is
Well, we're
it?
still in the
Is that
historic,
planning commission?
that's in the planning commission meeting.
Okay.
No,
Well,
That's in HRP?
no, it's outside the HRP. It would be in the planning.
okay, so
Right,
it's not on our
yes.
agenda, but you know that there is something else. Okay, so go ahead and give us the staff report.
What,
Wait a minute.
we do that during planning.
It's not your...
I'm
You were
sorry.
right. You're good.
Are we on informal project review?
Yes, we
just
finished
finished
that.
Okay,
Now we are at affidavit of posting.
okay, that's
Action
where we
items.
were.
Yes.
Okay.
You were right the first time.
Okay. Affidavit of posting of agenda and approve minutes for the December 1st, 2015 meeting and consider a recommendation to the Planning Commission approval of a sign permit at 304.
No. That was a...
That got-
We already did that.
Yep.
4C was moved up. into
Okay, yeah.
informal, so no action was
Okay.
taken.
All right, so Commissioners A and B.
If no one has any comments on the minutes, I move that the consent agenda be approved, both items.
Are you going to make a motion?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Yeah, fine. I wasn't here anyway.
Board Member
We'll
Friesen?
get it. We'll get
Aye.
Board Member Garrett? Oh, excuse me, Maderas?
Aye.
Board Member Gredzstock?
Aye.
Chairman Rivera?
Aye.
All members of the board being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, now, moving on to comments. Is that where we are? Yep. All right, comments from the Historic Resources Board. Anything?
No?
No?
You know, this might be the place to start. I understand that May is Historic Preservation Month. And we should be thinking about having a, start to look for any businesses or residential remodels that we want to honor or recognize. And so, I think you get to make the appointments.
I'll take on the business.
No, you have to make the appointments.
Oh, well then I'll appoint myself to do the to do the business recommendation. And David, I'll appoint you to do the residential.
Okay.
Okay, you okay with that?
You want to explain that to the public?
Every May, we honor or acknowledge or recognize a business that has made an improvement on their building. And we'll do that again this year. They have done so in a way that honors the
heritage of the town.
yeah, the heritage of the town. But it's a national event, so we do it here too.
And this year, first time we'll do residential.
Yeah, this will be the first time we do residential, so. Okay.
And this will be for the May presentation in May?
Yeah, I got a question on that, being that we're going to do this. What time frame are we looking at? I mean, there are a lot of homes that have gone up and restoration projects have gone over time. Now, when it comes to residentials, we've never awarded that. So how far back in time do we go?
50 years is the
50 years for a project that was completed, restored?
a home that was initially built 50 years ago or beyond.
No, I know, but I meant,
Oh,
okay.
when was it restored?
Yeah, who was
Oh.
restoring what? I mean, we're not going out to find out which home is historically beautiful or anything, but which one has been recently
Yeah.
restored or what have you. So if we're going to look at that, is it going back 3 or 4 years
It could.
on a project for a particular homes?
I think it could because we've not done this yet.
Yeah,
Residential.
so 10 years? Okay, well, maybe it's wide open. Okay, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Question.
Uh-huh.
Can we make recommendations?
Yes?
Sure.
Okay.
You might be,
Residential and commercial, right?
you
Yeah.
might be drafted.
Oh,
Okay.
just okay.
I'd be happy to hear them. You can tell me now, you can email me. Okay. Then let's move on to city manager. Any comments? Okay, city planner? All right, then I adjourn this meeting of the Historic Resources Board and pass the gavel to the chair of the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Okay, welcome to the regular Planning Commission meeting of the City of San Juan Bautista Planning Commission. Tonight is March 1st, 2016, and again, this is a regular meeting of the Commission. Since we followed on the heels of the Historic Resources Board, we'll just have a call to order and roll call.
Yes. Vandy Guevara.
Here.
Eric Redisoff.
Here.
David Maderas.
Here.
Ernest Franco.
Here.
All present.
Okay. Public comment. This would be the time for anybody in the public who would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda. If you want to speak on an item that's on the agenda, please wait until that time, and so your comments will be together and recorded together, so maybe other people can comment off of your comments. This would be something that's not related to the agenda, advising us something that's happening in the city, telling us how good a job we're doing, but just so it's not on the agenda at this time. Are there any cards related to this?
No, there are none.
No comments. I hope we're doing a good job. Okay, we'll move on now to informal project review. We have one, we had one for a sign permit review at 304 Washington for International Vision. We do not have a recommendation from the board of Historic Resources Board, so we'll let that one go. Amendment of the tentative map for D'Ambrosio PUD at 1113 3rd Street. And
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, the applicant has got a contract in for the development of the 27-lot PUD of D'Ambrosio. He is requesting an informal presentation to show that he would like to come in and break it into 2 different phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Where phase 1 would be the lots along 3rd Street, and then phase 2 would be the lots and the development inside. And as you recall, this was approved by the Planning Commission back on August 5th, 2014, with some 43 conditions. One of those conditions is that prior to approval of any building permit, if you wanted to look at the site design review of the homes that are being presented, by phasing the thing in, and the applicants will speak to it, it'll give them a chance to concentrate on the first 8 blocks and develop that curb gutter sidewalk and lighting of 3rd Street, as well as including in the roundabout, and then using the second phase to design the smaller homes up on the cul-de-sac. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Andrat, and he's the project engineer.
Just real quick, point of clarification, it being informal, do any of us need to recuse ourselves at this time?
No, the informal is a product where you want to make comments, and they can take that and incorporate that into their final submit.
How many do we need if he and I would recuse ourselves?
All three of us.
Oh, that's true. Oh, well, then we can't do
Be
that.
Ernie talking to himself.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the council action.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, we would end up drawing straws.
Yeah.
Is it 500 feet or what? What is it?
300.
And you, it's 500 feet on Venda, and Eric, it's 300.
I'm going to go measure it.
Sorry, carry on.
All right. Well, thank you, Planning Commission members, for allowing us to kind of introduce the project and give you kind of a status of where it's at as far as being developed. The D'Ambrosios are in the process of selling the product, the whole parcel, and the development plans to Elite Developments out of Watsonville. We have representatives here who I'll introduce after I get a chance to explain the basics of the changes that we're coming to the amendment for. Informally, we're taking the approved tentative map and breaking it into phases, as Mr. Grimsley explained. And we will be presenting this with a formal application for a tentative map amendment at your next meeting. What we're doing now is we want to kind of see if there's any feedback from the public or yourselves, any questions you might have, so that we can take these into consideration and incorporate them into the design. The changes can include, and it's not really a change because they were conditioned before, but the widening of 3rd Street has now been added to the tentative map itself, that narrow stretch between North Street and the project boundary, as well as the inclusion of the turnaround that was a part of the Rancho Vistas development that was needed at Donner Street and 3rd Street to kind of provide some traffic calming. So those have been incorporated into the plan that's provided for you there. And in the phasing, the idea here is to make sure that this summer we can really cut loose and get the 3rd Street improvements done. This is the biggest benefit to the public from this project standpoint. The developer can concentrate on finalizing the architecture and make sure that the houses are built in a timely manner and that all the improvements are done before the next rainy season. That's their ultimate goal, is to complete those big public improvement portions of the project and get those rolling as soon as possible, approve plans, etc., so that that portion of the project can be built out. Phase 2 stands as it is with the same number of lots right now. We are in discussions with the developer, his architect, and the city to possibly incorporate some more affordable units. That will be presented to you as another amendment should it come to fruition. As it stands now, the product still has the same number of lots, the same housing types as approved formally. So I'm available for any questions you may have from the engineering planning standpoint. And if there's no questions for me, I'd like to sit down but introduce Elite Developments to let them kind of explain their experience in projects of this type of nature and their goal to actually get this done in a timely manner.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
So
you.
I have Juggy Tutt of Elite Developments, who is in the process of buying this from the D'Ambrosios, and I'll just introduce himself and give him some of his background.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Juggy. I'm with Elite Developments, and this is
I'm Hodge.
my brother. It's a family-owned business. It's the two of us and our father's son who's sitting back there. We currently are doing a project in Watsonville. It's similar to this, but it's 48 townhome units. Similar way we worked with the city, figured out the planning, parking, utilities, tied to the city and everything. So we have experience in this. We both have backgrounds in real estate construction management with degrees from the University of Denver. So what we're really trying to do is get our business started, and that's it.
Yeah, another project you failed to mention was we did a 17 custom house project, and that's in Monterey County, and that's something that we're undertaking. That's going to be a little bit larger project, but
Whereabouts in Monterey County?
so it's going to be in South Monterey County.
It's called Royal Oaks. It's in between Monterey and Watsonville.
Oh, that's North Monterey County.
Yeah.
Sorry,
North Monterey.
I kept wondering.
North Monterey County,
Yeah.
right up Post Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's another project that we approved, so those improvements are already done. And we're a little bit more ahead on that project than we are with this. But our goal today is basically trying to figure out what you guys want so we can best serve and honor the city and how you guys want us with architecture, how you guys would like us to approach coming up to you guys and talking, how often you guys would like to do it, how hands-on you guys would be with this project.
We're pretty happy with the project that was presented to us by D'Ambrosio. And actually, they did one, and I guess they revised it.
Yeah.
You mentioned the first phase would be market houses, market rate houses,
Right.
and the back would be affordable. How do you define affordable housing?
Well, affordable as in maybe we could do something like duplexes that can split it up and make it more affordable for people to purchase. I know there is an affordable housing requirement that we have to meet. And the reason we really want to phase the two of them, like Alan explained, is we want to improve that front road on 3rd Street, and the front 8 houses would be more architecturally kind of like the ones down Donner Street, that little neighborhood down there, so it kind of flows all together. We didn't want to come in, I know the first project that was approved was 40 units, which seems like it wouldn't really fit into that neighborhood, so we want to kind of make it flow everything together.
Okay. So, do you have? Now you said you're starting out. Do you have any completed projects?
We have a fairly large custom home that we've done in Watsonville.
I mean developments.
Developments. We're breaking ground on the 48 units in Watsonville. Within the next 2 weeks, our permits are going through its final stage.
Nice.
Where's that going to be located?
And it's off of Harkin Slough Road in Watsonville.
Okay.
It's 35 Harkin Slough.
No, I'm not, grilling you, but we're just, we've had projects here where we've had real nice outlooks, but the people weren't able to deliver, and so we're just kind of talking about your background.
No,
sounds like you have a background to be able to do it.
We do. Out of college, I worked for a construction company for a little while. I also worked for a real estate company, and then the market took a downturn, and then we kind of came back. And we also have a trucking company, and we're farmers as well.
Oh.
And so now we're trying to get back into the real estate and just trying to do what we really wanted to do for a long, long time.
I'm happy to hear that you're going to try to blend into the Donner Street of that whole development, because those homes were based on some of the homes in San Juan.
Right.
Creek Bridge was directed to incorporate some of the designs into their homes, so I'm happy to do
And the
that.
new development that's going in too, beyond that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was going to suggest it'd be nice if you could somehow be compatible with the Christopher Ranch project. You probably won't be able to work with them, but through Roger, I'm sure you could come up with compatibility.
I mean, we're here to work with you guys, not, this is how we want to build it, let's do it this way. It's whatever I feel like the city needs better to make more of,
Affordable housing is a critical issue. In fact, we just did it. We just upgraded our housing element, and we made some major changes in the way we accept the way we do business, to get more units in there that go below market rate. And like I said, sometimes smaller lots, sometimes you take a rezoning, but you could do the duplex, or what do you call it?
Duets?
No, it's common wall.
Zero clearance? Or?
Zero lot lines, something like that. And, for people who can live that way and they can afford that, or maybe they could afford that, but it'd be a starter home.
Yeah.
So, like I said, and looking around, you might want to talk to Mr. Fulton, who's doing the big 98 units just on the other side of Creek Bridge, but getting ideas from them, what they went through, and maybe, you say, hey, I hadn't thought of that, and all of a sudden your design comes up even better than you thought.
Do you have any comments?
Just a couple of quick things. First of all, it'd be sad to see that plot of land leave.
Tell them where you live too.
Yeah, I live right across the street, so I live almost directly across with the first white picket fence as in the narrow portion of 3rd Street. And I don't know if this is just a general comment to Alan, but I would say that the 3 biggest concerns of that area are traffic speed. I know we're putting in the roundabout, but traffic is still a huge concern. The sewer capacity with this project and Rancho Vista, I'd really like to know where that comes into play, because that may be a concern. And parking, only because 3rd Street from that point all the way to north, there's no parking one side of the street. Even when that gets widened, there's still going to be no parking. And I can tell you can probably drive out of here today and you'll see my truck and the neighbor's truck and the next truck, and it's already, parking's already starting to stack down in front of that project. So, you know, the suggestion I had left before, I don't know if it's feasible, was perhaps doing it wide enough to have maybe some diagonal park, or some diagonal as opposed to parallel parking. Just because, I mean, people are already screaming in the neighborhood about not having places to park. Suggestion.
Okay.
But I mean, overall, yeah. I mean, I'll be sad to see the view go, but yeah, it'd be nice to see something done with it. I'm tired of watching people dump their garbage up there.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, we're not going to put up giant walls and you're just going to be looking at the back of a bunch of townhomes. It's going to flow with us.
I've already got a wall.
The wall.
The wall.
Okay, tell you what, we'll ask the, sir. Oh,
It's my dad's son.
Let me say something. I was born and raised.
your name for the record, sir. This is being recorded.
I was born and raised in India, the farming community. My father was a farmer. I moved here in 1974 to Fresno, Selma area, worked on the farm, got to drive a truck. My brother came in as a partner. We worked together. We built many different companies. We farm over 4,000 acres of almonds. We own all our land, and we farm 1,000 acres of citrus. We have farming operation in Central America. We have development operation in India. So we have plenty of background and horsepower people.
Okay.
When I was saying our Watsonville development is being started, I meant just me and him. He's actually done development. My dad's done developments in Yuba City, like Walmart's and Home Depot. So he's kind of our backup, kind of.
Your consultant.
Yeah.
Your consultant with the experience.
There you go.
These are the owners. I'm just the father on the back.
Good. Okay, listen, why don't you have a seat, and I'm going to ask if any of the people in the audience, who basically are your neighbors, would have a comment that might, again, help you with your project. Does anyone like to make any comments regarding this project? Yes? Again, this is an informal thing, so we're just trying to give them the feeling of the community, because they're going to be neighbors very soon.
Carville, 609 3rd Street, and I'm just wondering if the project's going to be redesigned, because, or are they just going to be implementing the project that was approved before?
As I gather, they were just going to cut it into 2 phases.
Right, but are they going to be following the design that was previously approved?
Well, we can ask them. Are you going to use the same subdivision pattern that was...
Yes, it's substantially the same pattern. The only changes coming up for amendment right now is the phasing, so that we can concentrate on the 3rd Street improvements.
One of my concerns about the prior project were the large retaining walls. I don't know, you might remember those. You might want to take another look at that. The retaining walls are really high and may have quite a significant visual impact on the community and the houses across the street in particular, or any others that might back up to the project.
Well, now they're aware.
Yep.
You weren't on the board at the time, were you?
I wasn't, but I do remember the comments about that, and maybe, again, Alan can correct me if I'm incorrect here, but where the retaining walls that were being done wouldn't have a huge visual impact, as they would be in the backyards and behind areas, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
So the walls were limited to those areas that were behind the existing fences right now. They're not going to be walls visible from 3rd Street.
Okay.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Sally O'Neill, and I live at 41 Church Street. And I actually wasn't here for this issue, but I did write a letter 4 years ago. So April 2012, So the issues that we raised in the letter that were noted in the Planning Commission still stand. The sewer, we still have the sewer smell. So, that was addressed. If you have a project coming, how are you going to handle that? The traffic on Church Street has increased so much, and adding Ambrosia, or the new developers to that. Church is actually a major thoroughfare now. We have walkers, we have people speeding through, so that's a major concern when you add another subdivision to that. And we live, our lot is 2/3 of an acre, so we go far back. And we're concerned about having someone very close to the back of our property. So that was what was raised 4 years ago, so I hope that you will consider that when looking at the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is anyone else would like to speak? Comment? Good, bad, or indifferent?
Another just quick question for staff. Roger, at one point when, and I don't know if this was specific to, I don't remember, I wasn't on the commission at the time, the upgrades that are going to be done to the sewer plant, was that covered under the D'Ambrosio project, or was that covered under the Rancho Vista project? And again, how will this impact?
All of them.
Both?
It's all of them, yes.
Okay.
Every development, every building permit that's issued has a share into that upgrading by paying the impact fees, and once we get enough money to where we can expand the treatment plant as we need it. Right now, with all of the approvals we have, the capacity runs about 85% of capacity. Mm-hmm.
Does that include the D'Ambrosio project?
Everything that's approved.
That's approved to this point?
Yeah, that's a valid, they could go right now and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So now that they want to modify that, and try to do it in two phases, but bottom line, if they said, no, we're just going to do what's approved.
Right.
They could start tomorrow.
I had thought that the capacity, current capacity was actually higher than that with both D'Ambrosio and Rancho Vista, and to counter that, the monies, and the more I think about it, it was with Rancho Vista, there was going to be an upgrade, not just there was going to be one sometime down the road. It's because there was a lot, I remember there being a lot of concern from the...
There was a lot of concerns and everything. The average data capacity is 1.56 MGDs. The capacity has 2.38, with all of the additions and everything, it'll run about 205 MGDs in discharge requirements.
Okay.
Eventually, we want to upgrade that, and we have plans to upgrade that by installing more aerators and more digestive facultative pond, and boost it up to about 2.8 to 2.9 MGDs per day.
What's the estimated time for that to happen?
Well, as we need it.
Okay.
Right now, it's only running at, when all the development there, it'll only run at 85% capacity.
At one time, there was a discussion about having the lack of a better term, the sludge in the ponds removed. Has that happened, and when? And if not, when is that expected?
We are building up the funds to do that.
Okay.
It's going to cost about $200,000 to do, and with the impact fees that we've generated so far, we have generated about $130,000 of the sewer impact fees.
130 of the 200.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the will that process reduce the odor coming out of those, or is that merely just a capacity of the pond itself?
It's a combination of that as well as increased aeration that will reduce the odor.
Okay.
Good. Okay, if there be no other comments from the public or the commissioners, Commissioner Madero?
Did you?
Okay. We'll go then to the consent agenda. We have the approval of the affidavit of posting, the approval of the affidavits of posting of the public hearing notices, and approval of the minutes of December 1, 2015. If there's no other comments, the chair entertains a motion for action.
I have some comments on the minutes.
Okay.
On page 5, there's a reference to Catherine A. Strike. Is that right? that the right name?
I'll look that up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's phonetic.
Okay. And then, well, minor, on page 3, under item D, Rudy's last name is spelled.
Okay.
With those corrections, I move that we accept items, what, A, B, and C?
Is there a second on the agenda?
Second.
Consent agenda? Okay, call for the vote.
Commissioner Guevara?
Aye.
Commissioner Medeiros?
Aye.
Commissioner Grossack?
Aye.
Chairman Franco?
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, now we have public hearings. The first one is to consider an amendment to the municipal code, rules and regulations for home occupations for business permits, business permits for home occupations. And we're looking to adopt a resolution of a categorical exemption from CEQA and a resolution recommending the actual amendment to the municipal code. Staff.
Okay, so I made the corrections on the resolution for the home occupation permit. Again, we are adding or creating this ordinance to allow city staff to regulate home occupations, giving us a mechanism to figure out what is considered a good home occupation use for the residential area and what is not allowed or what is prohibited.
And I think what the overall writing issue that we, the staff, is that it's really a protection of the residential environment that people enjoy, that a home occupancy could create some disturbance, and we wanted to make sure that policies and regulations and the regulations that can control that so it's not a public nuisance.
And we've discussed this at least one meeting here, and then we had a public hearing, separate meeting, right?
Right.
Okay. That report. Commissioner comments, and then we'll go to the public, or are we going to go public?
Let's go to the
Go
public.
to public.
Okay. Now's the time. This is a public hearing for the amendment to the municipal code, which is pretty serious. And so this has been available to the public. Is anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this proposal?
I have Bob Quaid.
I'm not sure. Oh, Bob Quaid, 160 Lang Street, San Juan Batista.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm speaking for it or against it. I agree with some of it, but I have some questions on, I was looking at this. I'm confused under operating standards, you have...
Page and line number, sir?
Oh, looks like it's page 2.
Well, page 2, yeah, operating standards, and then,
Line
so
53.
line number 9.
Oh, good.
So the home occupation shall be limited to 2 clients, patients, pupil present at any time. And then you have line 15, says a home occupation shall be limited to only 1 client between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. So is it 2 or are we limited to 1?
Well, that's...
I know we discussed
We
this.
did discuss that.
We discussed it, and I thought we had come to...
We had. You're right, there is
Yes.
that discrepancy.
Yeah, we're trying to keep down the crowd. We don't want, 10 cars
Well,
lined up.
I agree with that, but one of my concerns is now...
Consistency.
One of the things, consistency, and then, but some businesses, and it mentions like daycare. I'm not planning on opening a daycare, but who knows, maybe someday I will. But am I only limited to 1? I can only take care of 1 kid at a daycare, or 2 kids, or is a daycare exempt from this limit?
I think the state runs them in 6, 12, and above.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Those are state guided.
So
I know, but your ordinance here will limit me to 2.
But why not see? I guess we're not looking at a home occupation as being daycare. A home occupation in this case is like you teach music, you do books. You own a trucking company, you have your office in one of your bedrooms is converted to an office. You don't keep the trucks there, but you do all your book work.
Where does it say that daycare is not considered a home occupation?
We did that.
My only concern is if it's not clear in here, and if I have a business and I have a neighbor that doesn't like me, then they'll be down here complaining about it, and then I have no way to defend it.
That I understand.
Mm-hmm. I thought that came up as well.
I didn't bring any of my old...
The residential care homes, small daycare, etc., are licensed by the state and they require a use permit from the city.
I understand
So
that.
you just can't go out and get... Okay.
I understand that.
So you have to come to the planning commission, at which time we would set the rules for that particular use.
But according to your rules, though, it says I can only have two clients at any one time.
I think that would be counted by the use permit.
I think you need to make that clear in your ordinance.
Okay, that's a good point. I understand, but I think you can see our thinking. Unfortunately, it probably is not as clear as it should be. But the way we talked about it was that daycare, and say you have 6 people that are in bed. They don't. They're in bed. So it's a care home.
Well, they're not.
They're not.
They're not always in bed.
No, but you got those that are.
Residential care facility, people are just living there, and you have someone cooking for them and possibly taking care of some of their needs.
Yeah,
they could be out wandering around.
I mean, but again, it ranges. But see, that we're not looking at those as business clients. I'm looking for the person who comes to your house to have their books done. You make pottery. You make
okay.
What do you call it? Macrame or something like that. And I go to your house to buy them. Because I saw them, I saw your name someplace, I said, hey, I want some.
Actually, on number 9, line number 80, it actually does kind of go into that. Perhaps it needs to be more clear, but it does say small residential care homes, small family home care centers, etc., licensed by the state, require a conditional use permit in the residential zoning district. It might be as simple as adding daycare to that portion of it. And
what page was that?
Well,
page 2, line 79.
Oh, 79. Okay, got it.
79 now. Okay.
At that point,
I think the key thing, though, he was talking about we're saying here you can only have 2 clients at a time, and over here we say you can only have 1 client at a time.
No, I agree. I know we brought that up last time, and I thought that we had modified it. I wish I had my original notes too. Oh, I do have my original notes.
But then, still on this item number 9, daycares can have more than 2 clients, which is 2 pupils.
Yeah.
So,
Daycare can have up to 6 for a small daycare home.
So then we need to say something about the state determining the number of...
Well, I don't know which one. This one here.
The numbers were this one?
Yeah. And you do say that it's licensed by the state.
Yeah, see, that came in second to the inconsistency of 1 client versus 2
No, I know.
clients.
Yeah, okay.
But that's not...
But I think
2 issues you're dealing with. You're dealing with the inconsistency and...
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you did this because, let's face it, I'd hate to have this come up with the council and they have to kick it all the way back to the planning commission to do it right the second time.
Oh,
we want to set it up right the first time.
Actually, and I just found it. When it's actually labeled in 3, was originally labeled in 3 different spots. One place it said 1, another place it said 2, and another place it said
some.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's just something totally different. But I know we had discussed it. And you are correct. It should be. Oh, there it is. On the original, it was line.
I don't have the original.
Yeah, no. It was line 123. It was C on the permitted uses, home occupation. This will be like page 4-ish. C says permitted uses, home occupations generally include but not limited to. And I'm trying to see how it correlates to the existing. Did we just take it out or did we? Okay, yeah, no, if you look at C number 5, it says instructional classes not exceeding 2 students at one time, and we referred that back to line number 75 on the original. Hang on, I'll figure out which one it is on the
number
current
15
one.
on page 3.
And that was, that home occupation shall only have one, and we had changed it to 2.
So it makes that 2 clients at a time. How
Yes.
does that sound?
That is supposed to be 2 clients at a time. Well, and as it's listed on 2, and then, yeah, and then where it said 1 client, that should be 2 clients. Sorry, didn't mean to confuse the whole thing there, but we did cover it the first time.
I just hope you've eaten into my 3 minutes. I hope I'm not limited to 3 minutes.
No,
You're good.
You're doing your civic duty here.
So,
don't worry about the colors.
So going on then, so line 16, so you...
16 or?
16.
60.
1/6.
Oh, 1/60.
1/6. It says use of power equipment on the premises using motor exceeding half horsepower. How do you come up with, why half horsepower? I bought a garage door opener today. It has 1 1/4 horsepower.
It's actually line 100.
So
It's actually, wait a minute, it's not, it's item 16, but it's line 100.
Line 94.
It's line 94, 95.
Yep.
Okay.
It's item 16.
Oh, this numeration is different.
The numerations on the correction is different on the original than it was on the old one.
Okay.
Which is why I was getting confused in the, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you're talking, it was number 16. What is,
It's item 16.
this has a half horsepower?
Half horsepower.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine says line
So
100.
I can't have any power equipment more than half horsepower.
If you're running a business and running that business with an item that's over a half a horsepower.
I just gave you an example. I didn't go out and check all my power saws and stuff. I have some woodworking tools. I'm guessing some of them might be more than a half horsepower.
I've got a garbage disposal that's 3/4, so I mean, it's the same.
So that's what I mean. Why half horsepower? Should you have another thing? Well, right down below, number 17. No equipment or process shall be used which exceeds noise, vibrations, order, electrical interference, normal senses off the lot. So I'm not sure why you're limiting us to only a half horsepower. It seems like a low amount, in my opinion. Like I said, I got a garage door opener that I just bought today. It's a 1 1/4 horsepower.
I think the reasoning behind that, and Roger, if your thought pattern in this was different, was that home occupation, we're trying to keep away from there being machine shops. We're trying to keep away from there being
Auto
repair. We're trying to keep away from being.
And you have that in the you've restricted that at
Right.
other places. But like I say, I'm thinking, well, I'm tearing down a fence. I got a bunch of old fence board. I'm thinking I'm going to build birdhouses with it. I'm retired. And I have a little woodworking shop. I don't sell them right now, but I'm thinking I build birdhouses. Well, if I do that, I think I have to come in and get a permit to do it. I think it's allowed under a conditional use permit.
Home occupation permit. See,
Right.
you're going to be selling these things.
No, I have to come before you guys for that type of business. I have to come before you and get a conditional use permit according to your ordinance.
Okay.
And then, then I get the license, but I can't have any power equipment over a half horsepower. And I'm thinking that some of my saws may be over a half horsepower that I use now just for pleasure, which I couldn't use for if I wanted to build birdhouses and sell them at the flea market.
Do we need that section?
I'll be honest, I brought this up last time and I was poo-pooed on it.
The half
Rudy, do we need that
The half
section?
horse.
Do we need that section? Can you think of a background from your studies that?
Well, I know as far as horsepower goes, I mean, I do agree that half a horsepower is kind of a stretch there, yeah. But we're thinking about it in the side, like you're the neighbor and your neighbor has that wood shop.
But you have that covered under number 17,
right?
Which I have some question too. Under normal senses, who determines what normal sense is? Maybe it should be decibel levels. It should be above a certain decibel.
I think you used a reasonable person approach. If we get a bunch of complaints.
Yeah, but my neighbor may not be reasonable.
Well, but see, when they come in, when they come in.
He might get you with the hands off.
When they come in and file on you, we check this out. And if it's a lot of noise, visible, to the neighbors, that's a problem. And that's what we don't want to have. Somebody having a high-pitched screaming table saw in there, you know, that meant for cutting trees or something, the businesses cannot exceed the residential ambiance and the peace and happiness enjoyed by all.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But like I said, I'm thinking some of the restrictions in here, you know.
What would your recommendation be?
I'd take 16 out and just go with 17 because I think 17 covers it.
Okay, now really, you haven't seen anything that would support keeping that from other places or anything like that?
I mean, Mr. Quaid here does have a point. But,
well, let's let it go then.
The problem that exists is, I mean, I've got a quarter horse angle grinder that will wake up the whole neighborhood at any hour of the day. I work on 2-horse lift motors all day long that wouldn't wake up a sleeping baby. So I mean, it really is quite subjective. You know, the garbage disposal, the garage door opener, yeah, those aren't going to be a business item per se.
And I think it's where you're doing it too. If I'm doing it out, if I'm doing my garage, I open my garage door up and the noise is going to travel. But if I'm in my workshop and the doors are closed, and it's not going, the noise isn't going to travel.
See, if the door is open at daytime, probably it's not going to be a problem. But if you open the door at night, it will be a problem.
And have we done hours
Yeah.
for home occupations? We did.
Like I said, it's a tough one.
Well, I think
see, one way to do it would be to say,
I think you cover it under 17 because if I open my door up at 8 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 p.m. in the evening, and if it's bothering people, then they're going to complain about it.
I go along with that. 16 should be removed.
Simple. Okay. Consensus on that?
Yeah.
I don't have a huge problem with it.
Like I said, one thing about having it in there twice, you always end up amending one and not the other one, and that leaves you with conflicting stuff. So rather than risk that, 16 ceases to exist.
You want to simplify it to the point where you're able to defend it, and you're able to apply it just to a lot of things. So the flexibility is built in. Yeah. Anything else?
Well, I do.
No, really, go ahead.
What do you guys have against animals? I can't train dogs in my... Or,
do they bark?
What?
No.
Akitas would be okay.
Or I can't train my cats? No.
Akitas would be okay. They don't bark.
I can understand, but I'm not planning on doing that, but some people may raise that. The other one is under Line 148, it's under restriction. Transportation, shuttle, limousine, bus, or tour service. So if I wanted to open up a tour company in town, of our touristy town, I wanted to open up tours, I couldn't operate a tour company out of my home?
You could have the office there, but you can't keep all of your buses and your other transportation modes on the front yard or on the street, because this is a residential.
That's not what it says.
But the intent, it's a residential area, and we don't want 3 or 4 buses there, or diesel trucks or something like that. And I've had that. And again, that's what we're trying to say. If you want that kind of business, that's not a home occupation. That's where you go get a contractor's yard or a place to store your vehicles and an office downtown.
What if I wanted to sign up and be an Uber driver?
That's a good question. That's a very
Your ordinance outlaws that.
A Uber driver is a passenger vehicle, and that's a lot different than a bus or a limousine. And
see, if you have advertising,
you're also not bringing the clients to your home.
See, if you're going to have advertising in your truck, it's a commercial vehicle, and that should be off. That should be not on the street. It should be on private property.
I think what we should do is change 14 to say transportation, shuttle, limousine, bus, and tour bus service administration office only. And then that takes care of it, because we don't want big buses parked in residential areas.
What about small buses?
Small buses there, they belong in a commercial or industrial zone. They don't belong in residential districts.
Yeah, we're serious about this.
Yeah.
You know, the complaints I got with somebody had is, what they called one of these big tractors that pulls 18-wheel jobs. It had it in a quiet neighborhood, and every morning, 5 o'clock, the guy'd rev up those engines to warm up the engines so he could take off and pick up his trailers. That was a problem. See, again, some things just don't belong in residential areas. That's what we're trying to say. Yeah, you can do certain businesses. You want to be a music teacher, be a counselor, be a teach people how to write. That's fine.
Well, I like Roger's change there because I know someone that operates a trucking business from their home. They don't park the trucks out in front of their house, but they operate a trucking business.
Right. Yeah. But see, that's it. It's the office for.
That's not what your thing said here, but now it does.
Yeah, no, it does, yeah. Mm-hmm. Qualified is that the transportation service administrative office.
But will that qualification apply to only number 14? Maybe we should put it under D, where it defines what a prohibited home occupation use is. We could say administrative offices only.
Yeah, well.
Is there numbering off on there? Is there an E?
An E? Oh.
Oh, no, just D to F. No big deal.
Yeah, there's no E.
Okay. Make sure I didn't lose the page.
Nope.
Okay, so looks like we're going to need some work on this, or what's the
Agreed.
Because the questions they're bringing up are valid.
Well, we're going to have to make some changes anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're valid comments.
So while you're looking at that, so line 158, under occupations required a conditional use permit, number 4, hand woodworking. Why do you need a conditional use permit for hand woodworking? You guys are.
That could require a lot of lumber being brought in with large trucks on a regular basis.
No, that'd be more a cabinet shop if you're having lumber brought in on a regular basis. Most,
I'd just eliminate the word hand and just say woodworking.
Well, it would take a use permit, and somebody would have to explain what's happening and how it would not have a negative effect on the neighborhood. And machine shops, some of those things are really high pitch, high speed, high pitch. That's again what
Is that what you mean by machine works and machine shop? I wouldn't think a machine shop would be allowed in residential.
Is that machine work?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like sewing, or is this?
I don't consider sewing to be machine work. I would consider machine work as
cutting tools and
cutting tools, cutting.
Well, then why is hand woodworking on the same line as machine work? Do they even go together?
Was it in the original?
So is that woodworking with power?
Yeah, well, it says hand woodworking.
Hand woodworking, I would consider anything done with non-power tools.
Mm-hmm.
The second it goes to power tools,
So why?
it goes to number 17.
Yeah, these two items shouldn't be together.
Maybe just eliminate hand and
Just
just say woodworking
with
and
machines.
machine shops.
Okay.
Or
We could probably eliminate the or too and just put we're working with machines.
Yeah.
woodworking and machine working?
Just woodworking with machines?
as it stands now, if somebody wants to open a business without this document, how do they do it? They have to come before the planning commission?
Yeah, no, that was one of the weak parts of our municipal code, is that they just come in and get a business license. And really,
with no guidelines.
Yeah, no guidelines, there was no standard, and so we would have to make a judgment there, and generally, either Rudy and I would have to go out and visit the premise to see what they were proposing, you know.
So, Rudy, you said somebody had come, somebody who lives on McCullamy, I think it was, wanted to sell cars?
Yeah, it was months ago, but they came, got a business license. On the business license, it has a little yes or no, and it says, is this a home occupation? And if it's a home occupation, they circle the Y. but it doesn't leave much room for them to describe what their home occupation is going to be. So this gentleman said that he was going to sell cars. Didn't put anything more than that.
But I bet they're at the gas station.
Yeah, and he happens to live, I don't know if they're townhomes or apartments right there, right next to the gas station. So we started looking more into it, looking at his address, and we're like, how is he going to sell cars there? You know, there's already no parking spots available there. So we called him up, and he said that he was going to do everything online, that he wasn't going to have any cars physically at his location. All the business is going to be done offline, so all he had was an office in his home.
Is that allowed under this?
It's an office, internet sales.
Okay.
I think this is just a little bit more fine-tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you should look at in the beginning here where you can define it and distinguish the difference between, you know, just residential things that are happening. I mean, maybe I can repair my car. I don't have to take it into the shop. Maybe I can replace a tire or two, and
well, you can now.
You know, that kind of. I understand that, but I'm just saying, are we defining that, distinguishing that here in this regulation that says that the reason why we're putting this forward is because we need certain guidance and we need certain regulations when it comes to home occupations, but let's define and distinguish the difference between that and just residential business, residential things that happen, lawnmowers, chainsaws, all kinds of.
It's not a business. I mean,
I understand
you're
that,
a homeowner,
but because there's an overlap here, why not define the difference?
Yeah, just say something like.
Right.
Regular homeowner use.
Yeah, you know, because I have a chainsaw, I have hammers, I have all kinds of things, and circular saws, and you know, on any occasion, I think the difference here is that, you know, I can say maybe once or twice a month I would be using that chainsaw. As an occupation, as a home occupation, I might be using that chainsaw every day. You know, and I think that might define and distinguish why we're putting this together versus what's happening normally in a resident. Yes?
I have a suggestion that you put somewhere.
Mariana,
Can you come forward?
Sorry.
It's another thing, wood cutting. The guy goes and dumps a bunch of wood there.
45 Monterey Street. What I've noticed, because we have no longer a day that is regarded as a day of rest, we have people doing whatever they want to do whenever they want to do. So what has come up to my mind, to me, is that if the noise level goes anywhere beyond the confine of your own home, then it shouldn't be. In other words, I may like rock music, but I don't want to hear it Sunday morning at 6 o'clock. I may like classical music. I don't want to hear your music or someone else's music, which is what happens now, or someone's lawnmower. So people have lost all sense, it seems to me, in residential communities of appropriateness with noise. Doesn't matter if it's a blower, a lawnmower, loud music, whatever it is. If I have someone come to work in my garden, I tell them they are not to start before 9. And they will never come to work on Sunday for me, because I'm paying them. But what I notice, we have lost this in the country, you know, and I'm not far on one extreme or the other, but there used to be a real respect and concern for your neighbor. I know I grew up in San Diego. Rather than even put the trash cans out the night before, my mother would get up Monday morning and put them out. Because people had someone over for dinner Sunday evening, and she didn't want to spoil their view. So that consideration has been lost, I feel, in residential areas. And I feel strongly about not wanting to listen to someone else's music. I will confine my behavior to within my garden and home, and not cause unpleasant noise of any type to someone else. So I think something needs to be said about noise here, doesn't matter what kind it is.
There's actually an item on tonight's agenda.
Yeah, the next item.
Regarding, the next item is noise ordinance.
Yeah.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
But I think it's not just noise as far as the occupation goes.
No, it's not.
It's the frequency of events, frequency of activities.
Yes.
That's a question or concern here. Because you have people coming and going to your home all the time, day and night, because that's what people do when they go to your home.
Well,
but if it's there because of occupation or something, that needs to be addressed differently.
Well,
and that has to be distinguished and defined.
Item 15 on page
Yes.
3 says a home occupation shall be limited to only one client between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. by appointment only, but we should limit the days, Monday through Saturday.
Well, that's two
Monday through
two
Friday.
clients at a time then.
Yeah.
2 clients.
2 clients at a time.
Okay, Monday
Well,
through Saturday,
can this-
Monday through Friday?
Can this be defined with a simple statement to the effect of, I mean, the difference between me doing woodwork in my garage because I need to build shelving for my garage, or me building shelving as a business, should there be a line that simply states, like, for profit?
That's what it's all about.
Activities for profit, but is that in here?
That's what
Well,
separates.
that's what the occupation is.
If you need a business license, you're doing it for profit.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with doing things for profit, but
But-
certain
Right.
things are incompatible with neighborhoods.
All right, this says a home occupation is any use customarily conducted entirely within an enclosed dwelling and conducted only by up to 2 of its residents. It doesn't say anything about receiving income for it, which,
No, but when you get a business license, it's for a business, which business means transaction of money.
okay.
That's the whole thing here. Is what does the staff need to help them, to guide them into determining whether you can do this for profit business or not?
Oh, actually, in that next line, Van Act, actually, it goes to explain exactly what I was saying. For the basis for the occupation of the residents to stage a small business, which implies you're there
a
for
small
profit.
business.
Well, hopefully for profit.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
With-
clear that
with the
this,
intent of.
It's clear this thing needs some more work on it.
I believe it does.
I'd move for. I'll entertain a motion for continuance,
I move to
so we
continue.
don't tie up this agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
Please come to the count at the podium, please.
Just because it's my name is John McCormick, and I was commenting on the issue of profit. You should actually be nonprofit and profit, because you could then
barter.
someone says, well, I give it away, or I don't make any money.
Yep.
It's just you don't want a business, period.
Right.
And nonprofits proliferate today because of the tax advantages, and there's a lot of people that do business as nonprofits that make a ton of money. So,
I see where you're coming
Yeah.
from.
Yeah,
I see where
good
you're
point.
coming from.
Good point.
Thank
Thank you.
Carla?
Carvonk, 609 3rd, and you already touched briefly on the comment that I was going to make. It's under D14, and these are the prohibited items, and it was transportation, and I think you were going to change it to transportation service office only. But what about Uber and Lyft drivers? They have one car, and I've noticed the Lyft people have Lyft written in the back window. So if you're driving behind it, you can see it's a Lyft car. So that's a home business.
And actually, it is stated in here.
Uber and Lyft?
No, regards to the vehicle for that business.
Because all I saw was prohibited transportation.
What are you talking about?
You're talking
D14.
specifically about
Lyft
transportation.
and,
Okay.
Yeah,
No, you're
we're
right.
going to park the cars and all. Yeah.
Well, they usually have one car.
Yeah.
Well, but there's
But it's a
more than one
business.
Lyft.
Huh?
There's more than one cars out there. For that one individual, yes.
Are you talking about their advertising?
No,
No,
I think
it's a business.
It's a business. Their
I'm
car-
an Uber
yeah.
driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I park my car in my driveway at night, and in the morning I get out and, you know, people email or text me and I go pick them up and take them to where they're going. And it's a business because that's how I earn my living. But it's transportation. It's a transportation service, and you're prohibiting that as an occupation under what you have currently. And so I think you need to probably address that. And somebody in the galley here said instead of calling it an occupation, why not call it a home business?
Well, that's what I thought initially, because occupation has, you know, more than one meaning.
But then the nonprofit, I mean, that crossed my mind as well.
It's a business.
It's a type of business.
It's a nonprofit business, but it's a business. I mean, it still requires staff, people coming and going.
All right, so we still have some homework to do.
Okay. Staff, do you have enough comments for direction?
Yeah.
So did we want to limit this to Monday through Saturday? Or Monday through Friday?
I think if somebody's making baskets, they're making baskets.
Oh, no. Businesses happen
What's
24/7.
What's not going to
We want to
become-
address it as 24/7.
Well, but we want to address any traffic coming in and out at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've got that, 8 to 8.
Right.
But do we don't want to limit the days of the week?
I find during the tax season, my neighbor, she prepares taxes,
Yeah.
and a lot of clients
They'll
come
be
over
Sunday,
at
yeah.
Sunday morning to have them, you know, that's their day off, either Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, I move that we continue this item.
Okay, by consensus?
Yes.
Good.
We have a consensus.
Staff, if in the event that you get somebody it's really questionable, tell them to take it to the Planning Commission. Put it on the agenda and we can adjudicate it here, which gives them the right of appeal to council.
Okay.
But that way you're not stuck having to hold them up, say, fine, go to the Planning Commission, they make the rules.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, folks, what have we got next? Let's see if we got a fast one.
Work at home.
Okay. I know this is a democratic process. Stuff gets put down, folks get to go over it and make it work. Consider an amendment to the Muni Code adding a noise ordinance. We're looking for a categorical exemption from CEQA, and we're looking for a resolution to the council recommending that the ordinance be changed. Staff.
Okay, so just as the home occupation ordinance, this ordinance was presented to the Planning Commission in February. It was brought back to staff for to make some changes. Changes have been made, and we feel that it's ready to be approved.
And this has been reviewed at a public hearing too.
Yes.
Yeah.
As so did the
Home occupation.
home occupation. We got a long ways to go on it.
The folks come in.
Regardless.
It's the timing of when the folks come in there. That's what we like to start early. You know, we have public hearings. We have to notify people, put it in the newspapers, and hope that people come out and tell us, so that when we do draft an ordinance, it at least reflects the community's outlook, rather than we do something in the dark and all of a sudden, hey, where'd you get that from? So let's try with a noise ordinance. Okay, is anybody in the public would like to speak on this ordinance? For, against, or in between? There are no public comments. Okay, commissioners, you've had a chance to go over this thing. The changes have been made.
I think all the changes that we had noted have been incorporated in the revised copy.
I actually think there's a few others to be made.
Okay.
On line number...
Are you looking at the final
I'm looking at the final one, and I'm
Okay.
trying to find my notes on the other side. So I believe it's current line... I thought we had talked about leaf blowers and using electric leaf blowers on Sunday.
We did talk about it.
Right.
Did we come to a resolution?
Did we decide that I still can't blow leaves on Sunday?
What's the line number?
Oh.
Well, there's a gigantic section about leaf blowers.
4? Well, no, look on the resolution.
89.
From line 80 to 89.
Oh, yeah, you're right, 80 through...
Leaf
Okay,
blowers.
so we're looking at the
104.
staff
Okay, leaf
report.
blowers, got it.
I know how much you love leaf blowers.
All you're doing is blowing the stuff onto somebody else's property, you're gonna blow it back.
Yeah, but we're drinking beer, it's great. It's 10 hours of fun.
Are we assuming that this is not electrical, but, or all over and above?
There are portions of it that are specifically to internal combustion.
Right.
But it does not state exemptions of electric, which are certainly a lot more quiet than the other thing. Also, line item number 97, actually 96 into 97, it says they do not prominently display certified approval of the chief of police. And in the original, it was a city manager.
Yeah. It's okay, it won't be enforced anyway.
95, 97.
Oh, go back to the staff report.
Oh, staff report.
Line item number 108, we had discussed last time, the refuse collection, and we had discussed taking it to a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. as opposed to 4 to 9.
Right, and in the
Within the
resolution,
residential areas.
in the resolution, the revised resolution, that appears, 6 and 6.
What does 108 say then?
Well, the numeration is different in the resolution. It starts at 134. Are you looking at the one that says...
Revised resolution?
Look at the revised one.
Jeez, criminy. Sorry about that, everybody.
Excuse us, we got a revised copy just before our meeting.
Okay, I apologize.
So line 134.
Okay, I've got the revised, and my line 134 is refuse collection.
Ah, yes, just like it's written right there.
Yeah.
Ah, where it says city manager, not city. Okay, let's just take this.
Oh. However, it still does say city manager on here.
Well, I think it should be.
Okay.
The copy that we had originally received states chief of police.
The original one, okay.
Yeah, the original.
That'd be a delay.
Yeah, that would take a while.
It'd be nighttime.
We're working at it. We're doing the best we can.
Is this significant enough to continue, or do you want to keep going with it?
I looked at it very closely, comparing.
I tried, but I mean, half my notes are on old and my originals, and now I got the revised one just now, so.
Do you want to continue?
I would like to
Okay.
continue it, yeah.
Make a motion.
Yes. I mean,
Oh, heavens.
Carvunk. Does the city have a device that measures
It's on the
decibel?
agenda to get one.
And can residents check it out so that they can?
You'd have to work with the city manager on that.
Maybe we can check it out so that, we can actually prove that somebody is violating the ordinance.
Well, it's a slippery one.
That's a staff. That's a staff item.
Upon the adoption of this, is we include in our budget to buy a sound meter. And it's going to be available to the sheriff department as well as the staff here. And if there is a complaint, you call us and we'll go out there and then we'll measure it. Mm-hmm.
After the fact.
It has to be, it has to be, I'm going to say, periodically certified.
Certified.
Certified,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a big, that's an awfully big checkout item.
Yeah.
I know, but like if your neighbor is playing heavy metal rock and roll at 7 a.m. Sunday morning,
you taking a decimal meter isn't going to change what the sheriff's department is going to
But
do.
I think if you call the sheriff department and have somebody come out there and say, this is a disturbing the peace, that's a police matter, disturbing the peace.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. But then he would also have the decibel meter if he gets there. But keep in mind, disturbing the peace is probably a little bit over what we're doing. We're trying to control it, keep it within limits. Disturbing the peace is beyond those limits. Okay, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I move that we continue this to the next meeting.
Do you want to give
Second.
further review.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to go by consensus? You want to vote roll call vote?
Consensus. Do you agree?
I agree.
No problem.
And this one here revised is the one.
Yeah, we'll go by the revised one.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so that one is continued. Again, I'd rather do this at the planning commission level, not at the council level. Okay. Try again. Consider pre-zoning 13.3 acres of land situated on the north side of San Juan Hollister Road, 300 feet east of Salinas Grade Road, to low-density residential R1. And we're looking for the approval of a negative declaration, initial study on the negative declaration, and the pre-zoning of the annexation. And then the actual resolution for the pre-zoning itself. Staff.
Yes. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the parcel that lies in between the Mission RV Park and the San Juan Inn, or the Hacienda de Leal, has sat vacant and as a cattle grazing parcel for a number of years. And it was in the 1998 general plan, it was zoned commercial. And we felt that when we prepared the general plan, that it was inconsistent with what was in the general plan across the street, which was medium density, high density, and low density residential. So the new general plan designated that from commercial back to residential. And so the Mission RV Park will be R4, and then this will be an R1, and then the demarcation line would be, as is the Hacienda de Leal would be the commercial end where it would front off of the Almaden. The 13 acres will conform to the general plan. It will be designated as low density residential, R1, single family residential development. And a portion of the property has a floodplain, and that'll have to be mitigated when development occurs and everything. We've prepared a negative declaration for an initial study, and that was in your packet, that highlighted that this is a document for the pre-zoning and annexation as it goes forward. The petition was presented to the City Council 4 or 5 months ago, and they approved it to where it could come in upon completion of the new general plan. So the issue here now is not so much development, because we know that a development will spring forth with the necessary application, but at this point here we want to get it under our jurisdiction, under our control, so that when development does occur, that then this commission can review the merits of the development.
And when it does come before us for development, do you have to do another one of these?
Yes.
So this has nothing to do with any sort of development. This is just the annexation of the property and rezoning it to be an R1.
To pre-zone it to the general plan condition.
So here's the layout. So I have a question about the well that's on the upper right quadrant. The well belongs to the city.
Yes.
So do we lease property land from them, or how does that work?
It's a 20 by 20 site, and the city owns it.
Okay.
That was purchased from Mr. Nyland years ago.
It's a 20 by 20 site.
Yeah.
But it's on there. But it's okay. So we own a little portion.
We own that. Okay. Yes. That's part of the number of 4 parcels that was highlighted in the environmental and initial study.
And 2 parcels aren't buildable. One.
Yes. One's
Because
a
of the-
sliver piece
Okay.
with a monument on it,
Yeah.
and another piece.
Oh, that's not buildable, okay.
Yeah, that's not buildable.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Does anyone in the public would like to speak on this matter?
Carvon? Oh, I'm sorry.
Perhaps the applicant
Oh.
themselves.
Catherine A. Strike, and I'm here on behalf of Kathleen Manning. I'm here in the audience. If you have any questions and I can answer them, I'd be happy to do that, but I just want to let you know I'm here.
All right. Do you foresee any development in the immediate future, or is it farther off?
I think that there's a tentative map application that has already been submitted to the city, and that'll come before you probably in the next couple of months, maybe
Okay.
by May, very latest.
Okay.
So you will see something.
Sounds good. Okay, is anybody else would like to speak on this matter?
Carl.
For, against?
Thank you, members of the Planning Commission. I believe there's a large barn that sits on this parcel. Is that correct?
Yes. That is correct.
And I'm sure the barn is older than 50 years. So as part of the environmental review process, I would assume that we need to have some kind of a study done on the barn and its historic significance. And I don't know if that would be inconsistent with an R1 zoning, since the barn is quite large. And if it were to be restored, it could be restored for some kind of commercial purpose. So I'm asking that you require the applicant to follow CEQA to do a study on the barn before you go ahead and approve the R1 zoning. Thank you.
But we're not doing that tonight.
You're zoning it R1.
Okay.
And that barn is bigger than a house, than a low-density residence.
But that barn could reside on an R1 parcel.
It could, and it could be converted into a residence.
Yeah, it could be.
Could
the barn is ready to collapse structurally, and Mr. Leal has expressed interest to demolish the building and take the wood off of it and use it on his restoration.
Right. That's why we need an expert report to determine the condition of the barn and whether it is historic. And then if it is considered historic, then there are a number of factors that you can look at, including overriding considerations, whether you want to go ahead and have it demolished, but you need to follow the CEQA process. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
How, humor me for a second, the barn, and I've seen the barn. I'm not a barn expert, but it looks like it's fairly well.
It's been around a while.
It's reached the end of its useful life. Whether we zone it R1 tonight or not has no bearing on whether we ask the CEQA process be followed for it later, correct?
That is correct. Okay. And when they get ready for the development, they'll address that issue.
That could end up with, they probably would do, depending on the size of the project, could be an environmental impact report, at which time that would have to be considered. Right now, we're just doing paperwork.
No, that was my question, is the barn being on the property has little to do with the rezoning and the...
That is correct.
Okay.
It just brings it into the city.
Yep.
And then it's our problem, not the county's.
Brings it under our jurisdiction, and that's what we're after.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Lonk. Okay. Is there any other comments? Now's a good time to bring them up because we do want everything addressed. Okay. No other comments from the public? Commissioners, where are we on this thing?
Well, it is along the highway there. State Highway 156, am I correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Is there whatever's being developed out there, looking to the future, is there anything that we could be doing now that would cause problems for us as far as freeway or access and intersections?
I'm sure any residential development will require some type of a sound wall.
Well, that too, plus the traffic that's going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, and
those are mitigation measures
right.
that will surface on an environmental impact report in both traffic, land use, sanitary effluent, storm drain,
flooding.
Has that land been designated prime agricultural land?
No, it has not. It's been grazing for Dorothy Avila's prime bulls for a number of years, dating back to the mid-70s.
Yeah.
How would...
Way back.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
How would, I mean, if this goes through tonight, it gets through the city council, and we see a...
It has to go through LAFCO, too.
Right, but
First.
how would this affect, let's just say, for instance, if a refueling station were to pop up on the corner and their traffic reports, does this now need to be calculated into that, or are they working against each other? Are they in a race against time against each other? Or how do
Mr.
those...
Leal's got one too, he owes us.
Yes.
Yeah. Any development is evaluated on its traffic impact, and it will pay its fair share to any mitigation measures.
Okay.
So we have to treat every project consistent with our established policies. And so if a development comes in that generates so much traffic, you evaluate that and its impact.
Okay. I guess my question was more of the collective, and maybe it's each project is on its own individual.
You're thinking of cumulative impacts.
Cumulative impacts, and whether, what I would hate to see is for instance, if a gas station were to pop up in the corner, them do their study, them do their upgrades, and all of a sudden half that has to get torn out because there's residential stuff going in down the way.
Somebody else made it.
I guess the question is has there been a communications against any of these future projects? Have those people been communicating together?
All of that analysis jives together into a cumulative impact, and that's addressed in the traffic mitigation improvements that you require.
Okay.
With what's happening.
So I don't know what these are now, and you won't know that until the studies are done and the documentations are presented.
Okay.
I think that Mr. Leal owes us some information because we're going to have people coming out from that new development and see 13 acres, 4 acres, 4 units of the acre. That's over 50 units. So that's going to cause impact, and he's got those events all the time. That's the impact. And the service station, we've already identified its needs. So before this thing can go through, he's got to deliver.
Yes.
My question was just more, not necessarily any specific, but given the fact that there's this potential project coming up within the next, call it 6 months, a potential gas station going in, I would hate to see one project or the other do work that is just going to have to get torn down and effectively.
And that's your job to evaluate that.
Okay.
When it comes in front of you.
Okay.
That's your job. Yeah.
But that's not what's before us tonight.
No.
Okay. Then I apologize for bringing it up.
Okay. What's the feeling of the commission? The chair entertains motion for some kind of an action.
Well, right now it's for the approving the negative declaration for pre-zoning. So, do we feel comfortable with that?
I do.
Yeah, I read it.
It's pre-zoning and annexation.
Right.
We take them together or separate?
Well, I think anytime you take any action, you should solve the California Environmental Quality Act, and that would be the first consideration before you take any action on anything.
Okay, so the resolution here is for the initial study and negative declaration for pre-zoning and annexation.
Right.
So, We'll go
I'll
on
make
that
a
one.
motion that we
Okay.
approve. The Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approve the initial study and negative declaration for pre-zoning annexation of 13.3 acres of land. That's the parcel numbers 012-130-012, and that would be also 021, 023, and 031.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Dubert,
Aye.
Commissioner Medeiros,
Aye.
Commissioner Grossack.
Aye.
Chairman Franco.
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously. And that's resolution 09.
Oh, no. Got it already, yeah. Okay, then we now have clearance on CEQA, the pre-zoning. Chair entertains a motion for action.
I move that we pass the resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approving the pre-zoning of a 13.3 acre parcel of land, APN number 012-130-012, 021, 023, and 031, situated on the north side of San Juan Hollister Road, 300 feet east of Salinas Grade Road, to low-density residential, and recommending to City Council.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Dubert,
Aye.
Commissioner Medeiros,
Aye.
Commissioner Grossack.
Aye.
Chairman Franco.
Aye.
All members of the
Conform to all
commission being
the
present, the motion is stated by the maker
Policies,
passes
programs, and
unanimously.
stuff that was left out.
Okay.
All right.
That's essential to the findings.
Next item on the agenda. Consider a site and design review permit for a single-family home and secondary unit at 403 7th Street. The applicant is Anthony Nicola, and we're looking for a CEQA categorical exemption and approving a site and design review permit for the single-family residential and the second unit. Okay, staff.
So, Chair, Commissioners, the applicant, Mr. Nicola, presented a site and design review to staff. Staff worked closely with the designing of the unit and the secondary unit in the back. It sits on 7th Street, in between 403 and 405. It seems when the street was being numbered, it was overlooked. So we're going to have to figure something out there.
403 and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. But the applicant is here in the audience, and
Okay. The applicant, would you like to step forward and tell us what you've got going here? You get to speak first.
It's approximately 1,500 square foot home in the front, 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, and a 600 square foot granny unit in the back, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath.
Okay. Do you have parking for these items?
Yes, I worked closely with these two to get the proper covered and off-street for the main house and the off-street parking for the rear.
So the garage to the house is a one car, two car?
In the main house in front, it's a 1 car garage.
One car. And the parking pad is directly adjacent to their driveway, and that will accommodate one car?
Yes, so the parking area for the rear unit is all the way to the left side of the
Okay.
driveway.
Will this require an extra wide curb cut?
The curb cut normally on a single-family residence is 16 feet wide, and this will turn out to be 18 feet wide. They'll accommodate.
So this is the equivalent then basically of 2 spaces that would be in front of a driveway?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Originally, the plan and that Anthony came up with was a driveway that went all the way up, and then parking at the secondary unit. And I felt that was a little bit difficult, because a driveway takes in a lot of space, on the side. And so I worked with him, both Rudy and I, to say, let's take and have a single car garage, and then his extra car could be in front in the parking there, and then the secondary unit would be right next to it in the pad, right in the driveway. And then the walkway on the side of the house could go up to the secondary unit rather than trying to drive a car all the way to the backyard. The cars would be really out in front.
So the walkway is to the left of the, okay.
That is correct. It also provided Anthony with the ability to widen the primary structure a little bit so that it's a little bit more functional in his design criteria, because that originally the lot is only 32 feet wide, and by doing that rearrangement and stuff like that, I think he got the house up to, what, 22 feet? And it was 22 feet. It was much more functional in terms of, and it creates, and it goes back to the philosophy that when you're building a home, you're not really building a house, you're building a living environment for that couple. And I think it worked out a little bit better in terms of the geometric shape of the house.
The granny unit bedrooms are really small, though, 8 by 10.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to the criteria in our municipal code where the maximum square feet can't exceed 600 square feet, and this was 594.
Okay, and there's no laundry room.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
Yes.
Because people drive into Hollister to do their laundry.
And you recall,
people don't use it here.
And you recall, I brought a proposal back up to you where I felt, in designing a lot of these over the years, that I felt that 750 to 800 square foot would be more accommodating to take care of that necessary need and everything. But I don't think we examined that a little bit more. But one of these days we'll have to go back. 600 square feet is functional for a one-bedroom, efficiency unit. But it makes it tough for a two-bedroom.
Right, and especially when there's parking for only one car.
Yes, exactly.
Anything else you would like to add to this? So you don't have to stand up?
No.
Okay, stand by, hang, stand with. Okay, before we get too far, is anybody in the audience who would like to speak for or against the project? Who's on?
I just want to comment that I think granny units are really needed. And, the state legislature authorized them. And I don't see anything wrong with 600 square feet, especially for a single person. That would be just perfect.
It's got 2 bedrooms.
It has 2 bedrooms, okay. Then they can have a home occupation office as well and have their Uber car parked next to the garage. Anyway, I support the project because I think we really do need the additional housing.
Have you seen the lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredibly small. I think it's not numbered for
32 feet wide.
Yeah.
It's actually, if you look at the map
But
on
how
it,
deep is it?
It's as deep as them all.
It's kind of interesting because if you look at it, that one's number 20 and all the other ones are 40 foot, and then you've got this 32, and then you got 48. I'm wondering how the guy who got 48 feet swipe the extra 8 feet off this one.
It's 155 feet deep.
Yeah, I just want to mention that it's similar to our lot. It's only 32 feet wide as well.
Really?
And
your lot's really deep, yeah.
So,
I live in a 600-foot unit.
yeah, I think it's
Or
fine.
600, what is it? Yeah, 600 square feet, yeah.
So I wouldn't denigrate the size.
On a quarter acre.
Well,
okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak on this? This is a public hearing. You have the right to say good, bad, or indifferent things about it. Okay. Commissioners, comments?
Still thinking. Somebody wants to go first?
Well, I'm because there have been such issues with parking, and we don't know who would move into the granny, and we can't regulate that. What if there's a whole house full of people living there? Where will they park?
Crowded.
Do we want to have 2 bedrooms? I'm just uncomfortable with their no.
You have a potential, if you have a person per bedroom, of 4 cars, we mean 2 additional on the street.
Yeah, and there's
that street's getting awfully crowded as it is with the project a couple doors down.
Well, maybe I'll intersect now.
And I think there's no laundry room. That's a huge problem. And we have a laundromat in town. I understand a lot of people don't use it.
You got to have working units to use it.
Right.
I know most of the things were out the last time I went there. I'm going to comment.
I have a laundry unit in my unit.
How many bedrooms do you have?
1.
Okay, so maybe we should take out a bedroom and add a laundry.
Well, let's talk about the use first. I have a problem with the project. You're in a neighborhood of 7,000-foot lots. You do not have 5,000 square feet. This, to me, is a problem. I think it's overuse of the lot as it stands. The second unit ordinance was legislated several years ago for seniors, 1 or 2 people living in the unit. And this was intended, again, part of the housing programs to get more smaller houses for people to use. You have a legal lot, and I can't argue that. You have enough room for a very nice house. Again, 32 feet wide when the lots already are 70. Most of them are 40 to 70, I guess. On my end, they're 70, they're 40 over here. And so there's no question, by the way, this house is 331 feet from my house, my property, so I don't have to recuse myself this time. I just think it's too much on that lot. If we're looking to get seniors in there, that is a long walk for an elderly person. And that to me is a problem. I think we could do better with the most, with, like I say, 1 house. I think your neighbor is 2 doors down is 40 foot wide, and it is a very narrow house. It's a difficult house to work with, there's no question. But I just think that a secondary unit on the back of this lot is not in keeping with what we're looking for. Next.
Yeah, I had always thought of the granny units as either being for granny or for guests as a guest home. And I'm not real comfortable with the parking, although it is, we really need to revisit parking. This street is already going to be busting at the seams with parking as it is. Like I said, the access getting to it's going to be over 100 feet, or give or take 100 feet. Is that about right?
And it'll be elevated.
It's 155 feet back.
And it'll be on an incline.
Yeah.
Steep incline.
And to me, this doesn't seem like a granny unit. It seems like a rental unit in back, which, I don't know, it just seems like a 1-bedroom. Seems like that's going to be an awfully tight size. The fact that there's no laundry is going to be an issue for someone, not necessarily us up here.
Well, with the intent with 1 or 2 seniors, you probably would one better bedroom, and then you could have those other facilities inside under the roof.
Can I make another comment?
Yeah, we're pretty generous here.
Okay.
Other places they wouldn't let you, but I'm looking for comments from the public.
I think you might want to take a look at the legislative history of the second unit ordinance. I don't think it was called a granny unit ordinance. I think the legislative history was to provide additional housing, not necessarily just for seniors.
No, it was specifically seniors.
Well, I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
I did look it up.
Okay. And aren't they entitled to put in a second unit as long as they meet all of the zoning requirements?
I personally don't think the lot's big enough. I mean, you've got a lot, you can put your single-family dwelling on it. But I don't think it's big enough to have this kind of a unit in the back with that far of a walk for elderly people.
Okay, because I thought you were entitled to have a second unit as long as you met all of the requirements.
Now, one thing about having to ask and be approved, denied, or modified. So it's not an entitlement.
Well,
and
I'd like to double check that
if you don't have adequate parking, you know, we got problems.
What does the ordinance require in terms of parking for a granny unit? No, I think it's in the ordinance.
No, I'll refer
we need
to
to take
staff.
One off-site.
One space.
One space. So this gentleman is meeting that requirement.
And 2 for the house?
Is that the requirement?
One for the house.
Two for the house, one covered and one uncovered.
And does he meet those requirements?
The piggyback, one is covered, and then the one right
Is tandem
in the
allowed?
driveway.
Do we allow tandem?
Mm-hmm.
Are there tandem parking spots?
Yeah, tandem.
Okay.
So it looks like he's met the parking requirements. I don't think you can deny it on that basis. And if he meets all of the other requirements.
Anyway, I appreciate it. I'm just going to listen to your comments because...
I'm sorry. I assumed, and I will double check it, that this was called a second unit ordinance and that it wasn't limited to for seniors or elderly, that it was to take care of the housing shortage and mandating that cities allow second units to be built in people's backyards as long as they meet all of the other regulatory requirements for that. So that's my pitch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple, I mean, and this is a substandard lot as it is. What are the setback requirements? I tried looking it up and just couldn't put my finger right on it. How are they called out in the municipal code?
Normally, in a standard lot, it's 5 foot is a minimum setback on each side. On narrow lots there, it's 10% of the lot width, no less than 4 feet.
And this fits all that criteria?
Yeah.
I saw the fire chief here earlier. It just seems like a narrow path getting in and out of that side. And when I think of a granny unit, I think of a much larger plot of land.
Whatever we do to that lot, it's all going to be mitigated and in compliance with all the regulations. So we're not going to, if you don't meet regulations as far as a second unit going in there, you're not going to be able to build it. I think the staff is trying to tell us that we're okay to build there.
What's the fire code on this for getting a fire engine back there?
Yeah, every house has to have a fire sprinkler system installed now. That's our municipal code, yeah.
Now, they don't have to have fire engine access, just
the walkway would be wide enough for a gurney?
Oh, yeah. On the walkway on that side, I think it was 4 and 22, 26, 6 feet or 8 feet, yeah. And we envisioned that it would kind of be a meandering walkway, go up with some steps, planting in front of it, you know.
On this drawing that has the kind of landscaping, it says greater than 25% lawn, but I think we meant to say less than.
Less than,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, 25% less of the front area.
Oh, arrow goes the other way.
And I think that was your policy where we wanted to discourage large turf areas.
The symbol was backwards, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's going to be a walk, the proposal is to put a walkway on the left side of the project all the way up to the secondary unit?
Yes.
And how long is that walkway?
Let's see, the house is what, 54 feet, plus another 20 or 60, probably about 75, 80 feet.
You know, I've noticed, I don't know if you have boilerplate conditions, but these conditions of approval are really different from the one we're going to talk about on Church Street. This one's requiring two trees in the front yard of each lot of the development.
No, actually, I apologize. I revised that to one.
One tree, okay,
Yeah.
one tree in the front of each.
And asked to meet
because
to
it's
the-
actually one lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
and asked me to the
Yeah.
Line 18.
Yeah. Right, number 18 says of 4 parcels, and it should be just one parcel.
just one. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the lot is really, really small. But if it meets the city's standards, requirements, then I just don't think there should be 2 bedrooms, though. I think there should be a laundry room.
Well, you're looking for design approval too. Site and design,
Do we have to do all this tonight?
unless it's continued.
I'll make a motion that we approve it. I'm ready to approve it.
I'm not ready to approve it.
What are the guidelines, specific guidelines of secondary units? It's up to 600 feet, right?
Maximum 600.
Are there any guidelines in there as far as interior space and usage of that space?
No.
Wouldn't be. Okay.
So this isn't really an architectural rendering, is it? There's no dimensions and.
Well, it was redone, but the dimensions are on the staff report.
Very plain.
Well, can I ask the applicant what price range you're thinking of marketing this property at?
Like resale value?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, will it be affordable? And what is affordable?
If that one, I think you would go to the Housing Authority and ask them what the Section 8 standards are.
So will we require that the granny be Section 8?
We can.
Well, we can. My granny is Section 8, but nobody in my neighborhood rents it out to Section 8.
Well, we'd have to.
The Section 8 is strictly a discretionary approval from the property owner if they want to
The property
participate
owner.
in that, if they want to participate in that.
See, I don't think we had a
program.
choice.
Yeah, right.
But that might have been the development. That they were required to do that, I think. Yeah.
But see, the thing is that if you want to make it work, when we're talking about affordable housing or making smaller units so that they can be affordable, one way to do it, to guarantee this can be done, is say, okay, you contract with the Housing Authority for 20 years or more and work with the standards, the affordability standards. So that means the rent would be as whatever it is for this particular county. And, seniors, young couple at the most. But again, that's not big enough for 3. And I'd say if you're going to do this, say, hey, it's got to be a 1-bedroom.
What are you thinking, Eric?
Well, hindsight, we really should have something written that says plots of land under X size, secondary units. And
Well, the only thing...
Personally, I think it's somewhat crazy. But my personal views are not how I should preside.
Right.
So my personal views are, the house itself looks actually kind of cool. The granny unit in back, I think I kind of see what's going on, and I'm not real comfortable with it on the personal level.
On both sides, behind there are granny units.
Yeah.
But
they're bigger lots. They're quite a bit bigger.
Yeah. If this thing were 40 wide, I think I would be thinking
Cara's
of
lot
different.
is 32.
No, that's fine.
And she has a very deep, so I could see it on her property.
Yeah. I've driven by that thing too. I drove up there over the weekend. I drove up there. I drove up and looked at it a couple times.
So have I.
Well, so have I.
So I'm ready to make a motion to approve it.
Okay, well, I have lots of issues with the conditions of approval. Okay. I would like 1 bedroom and 1 laundry room. That's what I would like. And I'd like dual pane windows in the back.
the freeway was right behind them, that'd be a good thing to have.
The conditions don't include, or at least I didn't see that they included sidewalks, curbs, and gutters. That has to be on there.
Yeah, number 8. Oh, that's on the resolution. Existing proposed facility to accommodate.
Gutters are existing in the sidewalk, the driveway will be put in with the sidewalk.
So we don't have to write that in?
And only
I'll leave that out.
What about the power pole in the front of the lot? Will that be undergrounded, or?
Yeah, I put that for all utilities to be underground.
So it's going to come down underground and then pop back up?
Oh.
Well, I don't know that I have understood, we've said that before, like on the property behind me, that it was all going to be undergrounded, and I'm sure the new facilities will be, but the existing facilities aren't undergrounded.
Right.
So the power pole that's there now will still be there, I think.
That is correct. Yeah. From the existing pole to the structure, there will be no overhead service. It will be underground from the pole to the house.
Okay.
So there'll be a clad conduit that runs there, and then underneath the sidewalk, and then into the electric meter inside the house.
I would want, again, as with all conditions, no construction should be allowed on Sunday and holidays. Number 17, the applicant shall pay all planning, blah, 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 prior to permit being issued.
The main home should also be solar ready.
Right, solar ready. And I see that on the Via's property, he's required to pay school impact fees, but I didn't see that here.
Should be 20. Obtain a building permit and pay
all fees. Okay. The other one specified which fees. Okay. And again, maybe prior to receiving a building permit.
Yeah.
So what do we think of that?
I said my personal feelings are I think it's not the wisest move, but from a planning point of view, solar ready. I really think that granny unit shouldn't be more than a room. I think that by having 2 rooms back there, it will possibly negatively impact parking in the area as well. And given the fact there's only 32 feet of front on it, and you're only going to have, which means you've only got 12 additional feet directly in front of your house.
Or
for parking.
What you could do is make one of the bedrooms really small, but that would work as a nursery or an office.
I'd say one bedroom.
One bedroom.
One bedroom.
I've lived in a 625 square foot place in a single bedroom place. Very comfortable for 1 or 2.
Yeah.
An 8 by 10 bedroom is very limiting. And I think that the laundry facility is going to be, I think that should be, well, I don't know that we should have to force that, to be honest. If they want to drive to Hollister, let them drive to Hollister.
I think.
You have the power to make the choice.
Yeah. I think that it's the city's, I think it's really our responsibility to be sure that people have laundry facilities to use, and I'm not confident that the business in town.
See, bottom line is you are going to approve this with all the standards that you want, and you got to think about who's going to be in there, what are they going to need. 2 bedrooms is, like you said, has its own problems. A larger bedroom and having those facilities next to the kitchen or something, all the plumbing in one corner, that's what design is all about. and they're asking for design, and they're asking for site.
Okay.
So you have the full power to put it the way you want it for the people who are going to live there. You got to think of their needs, and regardless of who else, what anybody else does.
Well, one bedroom is going to be, or two bedrooms, I believe, is going to be fairly unlivable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm agree.
Again, the longer facility, I really could go either way on.
If you make people want to be in it, not have a high turnover because it's unlivable, brand new and not livable. That's one way of looking at it. Make it livable.
What are the rear setbacks? I mean, I see how they're labeled here. Labels the rear as being 10. I thought it was 15 feet.
It says 20 here.
It says 10 right there.
Oh, inconsistent with the picture.
Sorry?
10 feet on the secondary unit, 15.
Is that how it's written in the code? It is. Okay.
Now he shows it at 20. What's he going to use? What's he going to put it at? The site plan shows 20 feet.
In the rear?
Yeah.
In the rear, yeah.
Oh, it does. Okay, so this cover sheet isn't accurate then.
And that's critical. Yeah, like you're right.
Yeah.
The state highway right next to it, and I think it's theirs to have a double or triple pane window.
Yeah.
We should probably put that also as a condition.
Absolutely. That's right. I mentioned that.
Whatever the similar condition was to the Valles project,
yeah.
We should be following that exact one.
What's the distance between the first unit and the second unit? 25? And the rear setback is 20?
You can't go less than 20?
In the rear, not to 20.
Accessory buildings.
Can you bring the two buildings closer together if you wanted to?
I believe your codes state that the granny unit has to be within 50 feet of the main structure. It doesn't specify how.
How close or how? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you change the distance between the building because you wanted to give it more room, you could do that. If you're worried about bedroom space and the laundry, you could always move closer to the front unit and make it a little bit bigger in the back.
So,
well, he's still limited to 650.
600.
He's still limited to 660 square feet.
Yeah, I know.
650 square feet.
Yeah.
So there are inconsistencies. Am I correct in, Roger, am I correct in presuming that the cover sheet with the dimensions, which one of these are we following? Am I following this drawing or am I following what's on here? Because this one here says my side setback is 4 feet, but it shows it as being 6. This shows that the rear setback is 10, but it shows as being 20. I'm trying to, what I don't want to do is approve it and then have them go and start to move these things in different directions.
Well, for the staff report, I put all the setbacks from the new building matrix that we approved. Being that it was right under 5,000 square feet, I applied those setbacks and regulations for this particular project, being that it was pretty close to that square footage. But you know, the 4-foot side was the max, and I think in the back it might have been 10 feet if I'm not.
No, but I mean, understand my confusion when I'm looking at on here. It's giving us, you know, lot size is this, main units this, floor space this and that. Then it says setbacks. The front is 15 and it's 25. The side is 4 feet and it shows 6 on one side and 4 on the other. I mean, I just want to make sure that. I mean, this drawing blown up to make sure all those dimensions are in there, I think is important. And what I don't want to do is prove it, and then all of a sudden we've got where now there's a variance of something because it got misconstrued, and we're dealing with variance issues. We had that in a very recent project, and I just don't want to have to run down that road again. Or I don't want other commissioners further down 20 years from now saying, well, yeah, he decides not to build, somebody else comes in and says, well, you know, says 3, and the commission then is stuck, much like we were in a recent project. So it needs to be extremely clear. I mean, again, my personal feelings are I wouldn't build it, but from a planning commission point of view, there it is.
I think if there's inconsistency with what Rudy had put down here in citing the municipal code versus there, when you approve the plan, those plans are stamped, and that controls us when we get the building permit. It's the plans that you approve.
Right.
And,
So that we're clear, though, on the left side, it's 6 feet clearance?
well, one side's 4 and the other side is 6.
Left side is 6, the right side is 4?
Yeah.
Okay. It is going to be 20-foot clearance from the rear of the secondary unit.
20 foot in the rear.
We need to write in as a condition minimum of double pane glass on all rear-facing.
How about all glass? Makes it a lot nicer.
Yeah, I would.
It's pretty noisy out there.
Is there an existing sound wall there now? No. Okay, so that's part of the construction of the.
Yes.
Okay, and that's going to be, Roger, I would assume that's going to be similar to what Mr. Baez is going to be building.
That is correct.
At the ones we did recently. Okay. I'm, from a commission point of view, solar ready, 2-pane minimum. Secondary unit is a single bedroom only. I would say with a washer and dryer facility as well, or hookups at the very least, washer and dryer hookups, interior of the secondary unit.
Well, I think you'd just say a laundry facility.
Laundry facility.
It's up to them how they want to achieve that.
And what's I didn't see in here what the exterior was going to be.
We don't know colors.
Yeah, we don't know colors or exterior siding, lap siding. Would this be subject to further review at that point in time?
You can have them bring it in. You can have them bring it in.
Do the stucco, absolute colors.
Okay.
What kind of roof?
Composition.
Okay.
And with that, that's the best I can offer. Thoughts?
Well, we've been over it.
Any other comments from the commission? Chair entertains a motion for action.
I'll move that we approve the project with the conditions of approval that we already indicated.
You want to see them written out first, or?
I would like to see them written out. So how do we do that?
Continue it. Ask staff to prepare the documents.
Okay.
That's one way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we've approved a lot of things before with.
Well, generally, we have more than one meeting to review a project.
True enough.
So I would like to continue it and review the conditions of approval before we approve it.
Consensus?
I move that.
Consensus?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
I'm not. That's the way I feel.
Okay. So do we vote then, or?
Call for the vote. The motion is to continue the item.
And did we get a second?
Is there a second?
To continue the item, second.
Okay. Aye.
Commissioner Medeiros.
No.
Commissioner Garza.
Aye.
Chairman Franco.
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion stated by the maker passes 3-1-0-0.
Okay. Let's see, the next item is consider site and design review permit at 43-44 Church Street for 2 single-family residential homes. We're looking to approve the categorical exemption for the project under CEQA and approve the site design review for 2 single-family residential units at 44 Church Street. Staff.
Yes, Mr. Chair and members of the commission, this is the 2 lots that were approved by the subdivision under a minor subdivision. Each lot contains 5,386 square feet. The setbacks as allowed here is the 2-story height, 25.7. Front yard setbacks are 26 feet, or 25 feet in the front, 44 in the back. And the side yards vary from 7.9 to 11.2, stuff like that. Each house is very similar in nature, but different in architectural appearances. One is a wood frame, lap siding. The other is a stucco with a different roof pitch. In the sense you will see it in the submitted architectural plans that they have. The driveways will be bifurcated on the left and right-hand side of the parcels, where they won't be back-to-back, like typically a number of things. The curb and gutter is on the property. The sidewalks will be installed with the driveways, water services and everything. The property is proposing to drain everything to the lowest point, and then some type of a pump arrangements where it will be pumped out to the city street and for discharge of the rainwater. The sewer is connected to a common sewer line on the adjacent property, and that will be connected, and that easement will be granted to the city for a public sewer line that serves 3 parcels.
Which 3?
Three parcels. The existing property to the corner to the left, and then these 2 parcels here.
Okay.
You know, the existing house to the right-hand side is already connected to it.
So no lift station?
No, it's on the gravity line.
Good.
You can see the line is going there to 0022943. That goes down to Monterey Street, and that services the house to the right on the assessor parcel number 0022941.
What did you say about are the driveways adjacent?
No, each one is flipped so that the driveways are not back to back and next to each other. And the applicant is in the audience to answer any questions and present them. You can see in the application lot 2 is a horizontal siding and wood, and the lot 1 is a stucco arrangement with tile roof and a 5-inch pitch.
I have to say I'm really impressed with this presentation. You've done it all. You've given us everything we want right here. You've got the visuals, you've got the color scheme. Color scheme.
And still more?
Do you mind if I approach?
Yeah.
I didn't have time to do the siding house, but I want to go the extra mile.
Right after she gave you kudos.
Just to show you so you can have a clear picture of what they're going to look like.
Okay.
And I only use the color just to highlight the different areas.
I'll hold it up for...
That's what we're looking for, quality stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a sand color that the stucco siding and trim is a sand with a
What do you think of a band going right across?
Yeah, because this is, yeah, something.
That's why the fact that this is it's a large surface area. How about a band or something? I guess they used to call them belly bands or something.
Absolutely. If you
And it would break up the starkness.
No problem.
Okay. Not a belly band.
Not a foam spray.
I could do a decorative belly band.
Is that the stucco house?
Huh?
That's the stucco house.
Stucco
yeah.
house, and then obviously I could do a decorative wood band on the siding.
Okay, so that, did you guys see this?
Yeah. Look good? Yeah, that's a reduction
Yeah,
of the big
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Looks better in the full size. Anything you'd like to add to your application?
I just want to do. I want to bring quality homes to San Juan Bautista.
Good start.
And I'm willing to put put what I got behind it. So.
Good start. Okay. Is there anyone in the public audience who would like to speak for or against the project? Did you sign up?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I'm Sally O'Neill. I live at 41 Church Street, which is right across the street from the vacant lot. I don't know why we weren't notified of this development, but we had not received anything.
You should have been notified. If
Yeah,
you
I've never
300
gotten
feet.
anything in the mail. So, first off, I want you to know, as I've grown up in San Juan Bautista, I've always seen there's a lot there. I've trick-or-treated on Church Street when I was little. I always envisioned a home being there, so that is not an issue. One home. 2 homes on Church Street. I already addressed this issue 4 years ago with the D'Ambrosia project. We have a lot of walkers, people going up to the cemetery. We have way too many cars for that street, for Church Street. And when you put 2 homes on a already impacted street, and the street doesn't even get repaired, when there's, potholes, maybe we'll get a little bit of gravel or whatnot in there. So, I mean, it's not even maintained. You have the sewer stench that Roger knows. I've told him for years. We've lived there 15 years. It is a constant issue. You bring in, another 2 more houses. It's really upsetting because I know you want to have affordable housing in San Juan, but the people buying these houses, you don't have a provision for someone who actually lives in San Juan Bautista to purchase one of these houses. If you had a provision, that would be fine. But it's really, honestly, is that we need to look after the residents who live here. We pay taxes. We want to maintain our neighborhood. We want to have it, like you say, peaceful and tranquility. But people are fighting over parking. And lastly, the other issue that we have is there's going to be an access issue with our driveway. We do not have a wide driveway. As it is, it's already hard to get in at times when the street is full. And you add these houses with the driveways going both ways, we won't be able to get out of our driveway. So what's the city going to do for us? So that's my... Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Is it Mariana Tomas?
Hi, Mariana Thomas. I live on 45 Monterey Street and have been the steward of a historic home and a garden now for 11 years. I am concerned because I looked at the plans and my fence, by the way, but historic garden, that means historic roses and perennials and spending a lot of money every year keeping the fruit trees and all the trees on the property pruned and free of mistletoe, etc. So on the left side of my property, there's a temporary fence in the back of the house where these are 2-story houses. Of course, you lose all privacy there. But what I notice on the plans is that the trash cans will be in that area. So that is definitely upsetting for me. And you will say, well, life isn't aesthetics. But in a historic community, part of life here is aesthetics. And I have been working on this for 10 years. And I was really surprised to see that you would approve 2 homes on this lot. So I would like some kind of understanding about my contribution to the community, which a house in a home that is historic, has been well restored and well maintained, and a garden that has no chemicals, it has historic plants and trees, and will continue that way for the terms of my stewardship. So I would like to know if between now where the temporary fence is, if the gentleman plans to put a wall, which then I could espalier the roses on, and also if the driveway will be going along there, but if the trash cans are going to be there, that's definitely upsetting if you have two houses.
But they're way up.
You were talking about those square things in the back? Yeah, those are subterranean storm drain retention ponds. They're subterranean. They'll be down below the ground.
Okay.
And they collect the siltation and stuff like that, and then allow the storm water to drain off in a cleaner manner.
So do they make a noise as they collect?
No, it's
No.
strictly
Okay.
gravity fed. Yeah.
Well,
The
I did
trash
notice
cans are up here.
If you're facing, yeah, that's...
So here's Church Street, and the trash cans up here. You're down here.
Oh,
Well, this
that
is
doesn't
bad,
have it
yeah.
on the big map.
Well, I mean, if you're facing,
So
there's the house on Church Street.
this is
and
Church,
then comes- right.
and the their personal garbage cans are here, but you're down here.
Well, my garden isn't down there.
She's
My house
looking
is
at
down
those
there, but my garden-
square things that
Yeah.
are
The
down
retention
there.
ponds.
Those are
Those won't be,
storm
yeah.
drain retention ponds.
So-
I'm not good, admittedly, I'm not good at reading plans, but I would like to know if there will be a wall there.
Is your property's the one directly behind both of these?
No,
No.
my property is
Which-
alongside.
Her property would be 0022946.
Okay.
Oh, 40, okay.
So you're asking about the wall parallel to Church Street and Monterey Street, or the wall perpendicular?
Perpendicular.
Perpendicular.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, what would you like to see there?
Well, I think a wall would be great, but I also am not in favor of two-story houses, or two of them on that lot. So
Well-
we have a very good neighborhood as it stands. I realize change will happen, but I think one house would be fantastic. I mean, it's not obviously all up to me, but I'm here to state that, because I want to maintain the neighborhood the way it is, rather than becoming more congested and not more noise. And two-story, I think, definitely is out of, in my opinion,
The house directly on Monterey Street is a single story. I think that's Chalmers' house there. Yeah, your house is a two-story.
Mine is a two-story, right.
Last month, we approved the lot split, so two houses has already been approved.
Yeah, but did you also approve two stories?
No, that's what's on the agenda tonight.
Well, I'm speaking yes now.
Yeah.
Plus, I'd like to see a wall as the vision, if there's a noise.
Okay, a wall as opposed to a fence.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Roger.
Trish?
Right here?
Anybody else?
Right here?
John O'Neill?
Yeah, that's the name.
Does Chalmers right there?
John O'Neill, 41 Church Street.
So the fence will be over
Where
here.
the project's going to be.
Okay.
I bought my house to accommodate a lot of my hobbies. I play with some big toys. I have my motor home, my boats, everything else. I have a hard enough time right now backing them up the driveway. All I would ask for is in the design is to locate the driveway where I still have an open space to swing out in there. And I got a 40-foot motor home I put up in my property. Out of sight, out of mind. Just take consideration the ability to widen my driveway if necessary, but so I can still play with my toys and I don't have to move. I've been here 30 years. I really don't want to move.
Yeah, don't blame you. I did notice your driveway. I noticed it today, and it's very narrow, and it's not very wide at the base.
Right, you've probably seen some of the toys that are up there I play with.
Well, no, because you can't really see
I
them.
actually, before I came to the meeting, I took my wheel up there and walked it.
Oh.
It's 13 feet wide.
Church Street?
No.
Their driveway.
The driveway.
Yeah.
Church Street itself is 30, I want to say it's 30.
26.
So what's a standard driveway width?
No, I'm talking about the width of the street is
Oh,
30.
Okay,
Yeah.
30. I think you said 13.
30.
Actually,
There's no curb or sidewalk directly across from this project
Yeah.
in front of 41. There's a hedge, I believe, hedge or a fence or
There's
a...
some succulents.
I call it the slough succulents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is,
Sloughed down over the years.
I mean, in relative terms, it is relatively narrow. The narrowness of the driveway at 41 isn't necessarily a product of this.
Right.
So,
Well, I think it would be reasonable to ask the builder if,
Oh, wait, what is the issue here? You have a narrow driveway. Can it be made wider?
It can if we allowed to cut down a few of your pepper trees.
That's an issue. Okay. Now, what do you see as the problem with the two units here, the two driveways?
If I got vehicles parked directly across from me at a certain angle, there's no way I'm getting out of the driveway, towing a boat, or hitting one of my motorhome or anything else.
Okay,
if we can align the driveway where it won't be blocked, I'm able to swing into that area, I have no issue getting out.
But, you know...
That's why we located on Lot 1 there, the driveway to the left-hand side that was opposite your thing, so that there would be no cars parked directly across from you.
Is that going to be for 2 cars parking in the driveway, or just
that's
a single?
That's a standard 16-foot wide driveway.
Okay.
You know.
See, the other thing too is...
And a 16-foot driveway
is this
and
isn't the driveway.
This is the driveway. So there's a 4, so there'd be 20 feet where there won't be any cars.
He said they weren't going to
parking
be this.
With a roll-off curb?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Okay, the other thing is, you're a neighbor. These are going to be your neighbors.
Correct.
All you got to do is say, hey, could you move your car so I can move my toy in or bring it out?
Yeah, I don't think they'd like me doing that at 2:30 in the morning when I'm going fishing.
Again,
you can call me, I'll move cars, we'll go together.
This is something that can be done, because I move my cars at night because people are going to be doing something in front of my place. Again, it's a neighborly thing.
Yeah.
And if you take good terms to the neighbors, say, hey, it won't be an issue.
So Roger, like you said, you
But then you don't see
I mean, if they work to design, that's a plus. But you're still dealing with people who have the right to park on that thing as long as their tags are current. And I've had people say, you can't park there. I said, look at my tags. State of California says they're current, I park where I want. And, the fact that they accommodated you through this, that's a plus. They didn't have to.
So later on down the road, if we have an issue with it, would you consider letting me cut one of those pepper trees down?
I'm not going to comment on that. That's not my department.
Okay.
I do want to say, though, that the parking, it's not going to necessarily be the people who own that house, because I've come down that driveway and it is full of cars. So it's not, you're assuming the person who owns that house is going to be parking in front. That may or may not be the case, because we're so impacted on that street.
Currently,
So
right
that's
now, I
what I'm
have
saying.
2 cars from the guy that runs a business on the corner.
Yeah. There's a guy that runs a home business that's been there for a number of years that nothing's been done. Yeah.
Leave a complaint with the city manager, and we'll check it out for you.
They know. Yeah.
Well, like you said, you're telling us, and that's what we're saying, so we can follow up on it. Okay, does anyone else want to speak on this? Okay, close that part for the public.
Home business.
Commissioners, we have 2 issues here. First of all, we have two lots of record, which was approved by minor subdivision. Now we need to design review and...
Did you ask the applicant or the builder, in light of all the information that he received today, that maybe he might have a comment?
Good question. Mr. Vyas, do you have anything you'd like to add as a result of what you've heard?
Well, I think I already addressed it as best as I could by putting the driveways where we put them, because it means that nobody would be parked right across from his driveway. And frankly, I mean, I don't want to say anything negative, but if it takes you the other side of the street to turn your motorhome into something or turn your boat into something, then you have an issue with whoever's parked there. I mean, that don't have anything to do with me. I mean, you know what I mean? If you need both sides of the street and all the way to the other curb, I mean, you tell me. I mean, I don't see how that should affect my project.
Well, thanks for accommodating what you did do. I think
I'm doing
that's
everything
great.
I can with the driveways that
What about the wall?
The wall, can you show me where her property is at?
Mary Ann lives over here and everything, and obviously you're gonna put probably a fence along here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wants a wall.
Yeah.
Along here, fence.
Please, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm already putting a little retaining wall in the back where we're caching all of our water. I don't know what size of wall she's looking for there, but I'm willing to entertain it with her directly and go see what her issues are and see what we got. But I mean, I don't think it's fair that I get thrown a condition of putting a wall in just because she wants a wall there. I mean, I want to be accommodating, but where do I stop?
What are these two square things in the back here? You have everything in black. What's in black? See the landscaping. What's this square part back here?
The porch.
But the floor plan doesn't reflect
The
that.
floor plan,
It's
or
their backyard, and then
what is that
things
square?
back there are gonna be steps that go down.
Oh.
Steps going down?
Yeah.
Well, because
Okay.
the
The
lot
brown is
kind
the
of.
house.
Yeah, brown's out. Yeah. Okay, so the black part is what? Asphalt? I mean, cement?
Pavers and.
Pavers and stuff. Okay.
Okay. These are
Backyard.
these are one-car garages.
2-car.
Are they? With a 12-foot door? Or am I reading it wrong? Is it a tandem?
Yeah, they
garage?
are. 16-foot driveway.
12 by 7-foot sectional. Am I not looking at this right?
You looking at the floor plan?
Garage, 12 by 7-foot sectional by 20 foot 4 inches long.
That's a typo.
That's a typo error.
We'll definitely have a 16-foot door.
Yeah.
Okay.
You look at the width of where the buttresses are, it's 17 to 16 again.
Oh, you got the 12 by, is that what you're looking at? 12
So that's supposed to be 16 by 7?
Yeah, that's wrong.
I'm sorry, Commissioners. I was running to get these done on time.
Yeah, it's got to be 16 by 7 foot.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Elias. Okay, there being no other comments from the public, we'll close the public portion and we'll go to the commissioners. Commissioners, do you have any follow-up comments or closing comments on this application?
I can appreciate the comments about the two-story home because Monterey Street is below, but there are 2 stories there now, right?
Yeah, your neighbors are 2 stories. Katana's a 2-story. You got 2 stories in front on Monterey side.
Yeah.
And you got the Allness property that has 2 homes, which is similar to these 2 homes.
Pretty directly to the right of it.
Or out of,
Facing them is a 2-story on the corner.
Yeah, there's a split level.
Mhm.
Is that a split level or 2-story?
2-story.
Yeah, parking is always going to be an issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not good.
Especially if you've been...
You know, I can go just about any street in San Juan. Parking is a big issue.
Yeah. And road conditions.
So,
Third Street worse
you
than-
can't park in front of my house because there's no room there.
Where are you going to park?
Yeah, and there's a bike path there and everything else, and you can't. They had an opportunity of fixing that, but they didn't.
Okay. Any other final comments?
Yeah, real quick. I mean, the street is narrow, and I can certainly sympathize living on an extremely narrow street as well. I can sympathize with that. As far as getting vehicles in and out, it sounds like the applicant has has done what he can to keep at least the driveway done.
He's gone the extra mile.
I think he certainly has in doing that. And by the way, it's not the first time he's done that. As far as the wall goes, I would ask pretty please, but I mean, I have to agree with him. At what point does he stop giving?
Number 19 on the conditions of approval says the applicant may construct a sound wall along the real property lines of, it's incomplete.
Was this a boilerplate that didn't get
Could be.
boiled down?
That is true. I got the same thing.
So what do we do with that?
That doesn't belong here. That's from the boilerplate, because there's no, sound walls generally have been put against
Probably
freeways.
from the other Valles property.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and there's...
I know, because I live behind the sound wall.
It's on the resolution.
Just take out number 19.
Yours is different? You gave us the wrong copy?
The applicant may construct a sun wall along the rear. That was probably coming off of the
7th Street.
7th Street.
Well, and that's true, too, on the Exhibit A, because number 13 says the applicant shall submit to the city a copy of the PG&E underground plans for the 2 rear lots.
My 13 doesn't say that.
That's on Exhibit A. That's your other one that looks the same.
Oh, boy. Copy that.
Okay, so are there enough changes? Are there a few changes so they can work on it, or does it need to be redone?
Well, help me out here. We have Exhibit A conditions of approval, and we have the resolution conditions of approval. Which ones do we really need to look at?
The resolution Exhibit A are the conditions that were made for this lot here.
Okay, well then...
So...
Basically, for the first one, they're mitigations, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the second one, they're conditions of approval.
Okay, so 13 has to be changed, eliminate, or the applicant has to submit to the city a copy of the PG&E underground plans, period. Number 16, I want to include Sunday and holidays. Number 18.
Monday through Saturday. Oh, Sunday and holidays.
Are we going to ask for sound reduction type windows? No, this is a different, that's for the other property as well.
Right.
So get rid of 18.
Solar ready?
Is it on there? I didn't see it on there. We talked about it last time.
Yeah, it's all almost done. So when are we going to see the real mitigations and the condition of approvals?
We have them.
They're not complete. I mean, it's all mixed up.
Okay, so we want to see revised.
Well, we
I think the resolution that you have for the site design review permit, those conditions 19 are the ones that are applicable to Exhibit A.
Okay.
All right.
So, yeah, the Clow 865 fire hydrant, we did that on 7th Street, and he has to do it again on this street. Number 8?
Number 8, yeah, is a Clow fire hydrant.
Okay.
Curbside, yeah. Wood barrel.
So 8, we're keeping that one?
Yes.
Yeah. 18. Okay, the applicant shall install 1 tree in the front. That's okay. And then 19 we just take out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then we need something about being solar ready. So 19 would be solar ready.
There must be standard language for that. Okay.
Well, all our homes are going to be solar ready, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
LEDs.
And no wood burning fireplaces.
I think that's actually already in the municipal.
I hate to see that one go.
Yeah.
I like my fireplace.
You got no construction work shall be done on Mondays through Saturdays, no construction work shall be done
Okay,
allowed on
okay,
Sundays
yeah.
and holidays.
So it was on the other one. You know,
Yeah.
with these two conditions, I get confused.
Well, take the best of the two, and we got it.
Skip the other one.
The one that's with the resolution would be the one that controls you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, number 13, again, this is a boilerplate, but fire sprinkler system in all residential structures. How about both residential structures?
I'm curious about why on the previous, the last one we just did on 7th Street, there were no mitigation measures. Why do we sometimes have them and sometimes not?
I completely left those out. I apologize about that. I'll incorporate those for the continuation of it.
Okay, so we should have them on following every condition of approval.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the feeling of the commission? Have enough to work with, or?
Well, whatever adjustments we have to make as far as the conditions of approval, we will have to do that. I think we're satisfied with the portion that was given to us by the builder, the developer. As far as the drawings go, there were some mistakes there, but all in all, I mean, it looks like it's well done.
Yeah,
colors and everything. So other than that, staff just needs to brush up on the information that we've got here as far as the resolutions goes. And other than that, I'm comfortable with the project.
It says 43-44 Church Street. What is the addresses?
It will be, one will be 43 and one will be 44.
On the same side of the street?
Yeah, because one on the right-hand side is 42 and the other one is 44. And so, and it's just, normally when somebody's doing it, you always give 3 or 4 spaces in between. And for some reason, it was 42, 44, and it only didn't accommodate this one property.
Why not make that 43 and 44 instead of 43 dash?
Yeah. What's the next resolution?
11. Should be 11.
11.
Okay. So if there's no other comments from the commissioners, Chair entertains motion for action on the CEQA resolution.
Make a motion?
This is what?
This is for the CEQA, right?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista adopting a categorical exemption from site and design review at 44 and 43 Church Street under Article 19, Section 15303, A of CEQA.
Second.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Guevara?
Aye.
Oh, hold it.
Before the vote and everything.
And with the corrections.
With the corrections, and then this passed and adopted by the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista with the conditions of approval on the first day of March 19 there. And you would mark out Exhibit A, and there, and you say conditions of approval. And those would be the conditions of approval in the next resolution.
Right.
Okay.
So there's no inconsistency.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can vote.
Commissioner Guevara?
Aye.
Commissioner Medeiros?
Aye.
Commissioner Granisoff?
Aye.
Chairman Franco?
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion is stated by the major passage unanimously.
Okay, now we have that CEQA. Now we have the actual permit request for 2 residential homes at 43 and 44 Church Street. Chair entertains a motion for action.
Go ahead.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2016-11. Is this 11 or 12?
12 now.
12.
A resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approving site and design review permit for 2 residential homes at 43 and 44 Church Street, SD 2016-31, Al Valles, APN 002-290-039 and 039A.
I second.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Rivera?
With
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
with the corrections.
With the corrections.
Yeah.
With-
Corrections.
And Exhibit A.
Yeah.
With corrections, and the deletions of 19 and adding 19 to solar ready.
Okay, thank you.
Structural review.
Commissioner Rivera?
Aye.
Commissioner Mederos?
Aye.
Commissioner Grenisoff?
Aye.
Chairman Franco?
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. That ends our public hearings.
That's it.
Now we got some discussion items if you folks would like to discuss. Review existing fencing regulations in the Muni Code and design guidelines. Discuss or continue?
Continue. I've not had any chance or time.
Okay.
Existing fencing regulation.
Move
No.
that. Move that.
Oh, I move that we continue it to,
Is that consensus?
Do we need
Do we need a vote?
we need a motion, it's a
Special
discussion
meeting?
item. Almost. I think you and I need to just sit down and hash this out.
Is there consensus, or do you want to vote on this?
There's consensus.
Consensus.
Commissioner
Van and
Medeiros?
I will make an effort to get together and
Iron it out.
play.
Commissioner
And bring
Medeiros?
something. David, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did we continue it to?
I'm sorry?
When do we continue it to?
Let's see, April, May. I'm just thinking it's all crashing down on me.
One day?
Let's continue to April.
April, okay. Okay, Harvey's lockup update.
In my staff report, we met with Steve and went over the requirements to finish the curb gutter and sidewalk along Church Street, between 2nd and 3rd Street, and all the number of driveways and access points. We felt that a roll curb and gutter would be more appropriate, and so we sketched out a little diagram for him, and he agreed with that, and so he's going to commit to doing and completing the improvements on Church Street between those 2nd and 3rd Street.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I have to ask, on the Monterey facade, there's some kind of fan, it looks like, on the face, and there's a lot of black around it. Is that soot? Is it smoke? Is it an exhaust?
It's an exhaust from up above that comes out there.
Wonder why it's so dirty.
I'll ask him.
I can think of a lot of really.
That's kind of smoking. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cooking lots of bacon and you just get the pan too hot and it.
Okay, review the planning commission bylaws, bring back as a resolution next month. Let's run that to next month.
Do we have a copy? I didn't see a copy.
We
of that.
didn't get one this month.
Okay. Copy that.
Okay. Says March, April. Schedule historic downtown streetscape guidelines meeting.
Well,
When did
we
we-
had a
did we-
meeting, and I have to incorporate the revisions and present it to everybody again, and then we need to have a meeting, so. We've been meeting on Thursdays, right?
Yeah.
Who's we?
Those of us who come.
I've been.
You've got other meetings.
Would it be worth it to have a workshop on A, C, and D, and tackle all three of them, and they kind of all work together in terms of
Might be nice to
design
get
guidelines and bylaws and
the fencing, the bylaws,
Sure.
and the guidelines.
Sure, let's do it.
Heck, why not?
On a Thursday.
The 10th is Neighborhood Watch.
Wait, are we looking, oh, we're in March. I'm
Yes.
looking at April.
17th is St. Patrick's Day.
Well, I know
We'll
why
be
I'm
full of
not.
Blarney that day, huh?
That might be an interesting.
What's your day?
Huh?
What's your day?
Yeah, the reason why I haven't been coming is
well,
because it's a conflict.
17th?
We could do the 17th or the 24th.
Sorry.
What about the 24th?
No, you're not.
24, okay.
24 or 17?
24.
24.
Okay, let's do the 24th.
I cannot make it on Thursdays.
Okay.
No.
As you probably,
How about Wednesdays? Be nice to get your input.
Wednesday's okay.
What's Wednesday?
Can we do the 23rd?
23?
Uh,
Or 16?
That works.
I've already got meetings
Wow,
Monday
that-
and Tuesday, and if we can,
I'm available.
if we can do it on the 23rd, that would be, for
Okay.
me at least.
All right, let's
I
do
don't,
the
I don't have to be
23rd.
here, but
I'm available. Do we have any drafts? Copies
I
of
have
it?
to, I have to revise,
Okay.
and I'll send
Okay.
it to you and you send it
Is that
around.
6 p.m.?
Yeah. March 23rd.
23rd.
A Wednesday at 6 p.m.
maybe you and I can get together and
I guess we'll have to.
scribble something together for the fence stuff.
Well, we have something. We just have to modify it. I guess.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. We're now down to comments and reports. Commissioners, any comments you want to make? Okay.
Okay, I'll make a comment. Every time I go by the brewery, I'm alarmed, well, not alarmed, but I'm concerned about the lack of a fence and the big opening between the sidewalk and the property.
Did you go down there but during the rains?
No,
That was a lake.
really.
Yeah, it was however deep that was, it was all the way up.
We do have didn't we require money, a bond?
Yeah, and he didn't re-up the bond, and so the bond is up.
So we're up a creek.
However, we did have a couple of attorneys that came in and looked at the property, and evidently there's some legal action going on, and hopefully that can resolve it to where then he can get back. I think Rudy's talked to him, see if he can get things back to normal.
Is there a mechanism to check on performance bonds?
We did call the bonding company, and they said that they did not pay the premium, and they won non-court.
You know, I think next time we should make that as a lien against the property. The city can pay it, and then we get our money back with interest when the thing moves. But I mean, we could have had this whole thing resolved. Yeah, we can't, I mean, the applicant, okay, maybe the circumstances beyond his control, but I think the public is entitled to safety. And if a kid had fallen in there, he wouldn't even have property.
Yeah. And I want to put some barricade up there, something like that.
Were you able to see the depth of that thing?
Yeah.
I was surprised. But well, I guess he's not concerned about it, but we are. Okay. City manager comments. Assistant city planner comments. Strategic planning committee report.
Yeah, we met actually several times last month, focusing mainly on giving recommendations to city council for added patrols within the city for policing the city. And the city council has directed Roger and a couple of the committee members to push forward on getting some quotations for additional security. That's kind of been a big push. There's actually a lot of people in the committee put in a lot of time and a lot of hard work to do that research. So hats off to all of them who took time out of their day and went through that.
Was there any effort toward getting a citizens committee?
We didn't. We kind of steered away from that for a couple of reasons. Although more informal things, the neighborhood watch guy is still looking into. He's kind of busy nowadays, though, so he's got a lot on his plate as well.
But you don't see citizen patrolling?
We don't. I think from a liability standpoint, we were discouraged from a couple of different avenues.
When we think of citizens, I think of Mark Zimmerman or George Zimmerman.
George Zimmerman
Yeah.
was the one that just kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And although I'd like to think that most people are smart enough and intelligent enough to not put themselves in a position, I would be hesitant as well. The neighborhood watch had talked about maybe just getting a group of people and just walking around, if nothing else, just to kind of see. I mean, oftentimes at our meetings, people are saying, "Oh, well, over here at such and such, this always happens," and we kind of go, "Oh yeah, okay, we always hear it," but we never actually kind of see or get to live in it. So the talks we've had is maybe just doing a walk around type thing.
I would, if you want to pursue this, I would contact the city of Seaside, because their citizens crime patrol they're all citizens, and they have the distinctive jackets. They got national recognition for this. And drug dealers, when they saw the yellow jackets coming, that was bad news for business. But to talk to them as how they did it, how people are, how the liability issues.
I still have the info you gave to me.
This is a different project.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That was stuff.
I'll be very honest. My time is becoming very, very narrow between this and that, and the problem is the one that I want to delegate, nobody wants to take on. So I'm kind of the one rallying the troops.
Okay, but thanks for the report, though. I think it's good to keep. I think that the crime prevention and city planning going to go hand in hand, because you cannot have a good growing city if you have to have bars on your windows. Yeah. And like one kid told me one time, how do you know when the quality of life has improved? When we can buy poodles instead of shack dogs, the Rottweilers and stuff for our yards. So let's hope we never get there.
Yep.
Okay, with no other business, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.